if the nations don't cooperate. The plans are part of the Home Secretary's tougher rules on refugees being announced this afternoon. John is a community activist who works with asylum seekers in Leeds. He has this message for Shabana Mahmood.
She should understand the journey, but also she should apply compassion and policy, not responding to fear.
Donald Trump is urging politicians in the US to vote to release all the files relating to the dead sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He had previously blocked their publication, but in a surprise U-turn overnight, Mr. Trump said Republicans have nothing to hide. Bereaved families, MPs and emergency service workers will gather in Parliament later to launch a new road safety campaign called Protect Young Drivers. It aims to cut the number of serious crashes involving under 20 cars, to account for a quarter of all fatal or life-changing conditions. Road safety expert Jenny Castle is leading the initiative.
We decided to pull this together so we can put resources there, we can put the sort of evidence base and basically have a central point that people can come to and find information.
Campaigners are calling for tougher rules for new motorists through graduated driving licences, but the government says it has no plans to introduce them. A 29-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a woman was found dead in a boatyard in the Welsh town of Cardigan. The body of 21-year-old Karina Baker was found on Saturday afternoon. Arctic air is sweeping into parts of the UK today, bringing with it the possibility of snow. A cold weather alert has been issued for parts of the Midlands and Northern England. And in football, England beat Albania 2-0 in their final World Cup qualifier. Captain Harry Kane got both goals. It means England can go into next summer's World Cup among the favourites. And that's the latest. I'm Simon English.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Monday. What is it, the 17th of November? So much to talk about. I hope you had a good weekend. Later on, I'll share a story. My wife of many years has a new nickname for me. We'll have more of that later. If you're waking up, just extraordinary, extraordinary stories. And as ever, we'd love you involved. Please, you can see it on screen. That usual number, all important, 0344 499 1000. We love those voice notes. If you've got time to call, just leave us a voice note. We'll get it on between now and 10. And, of course, text messages 8722. Start your message with the word talk in a tick. The wonderful Poppy Coburn with me to look through the morning's papers. But where do we start? You'll have read about this over the weekend. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. Is she A, the first Labour politician to actually get it, or B, pitching for the leadership that will no doubt happen at some point? She's today going to threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take back illegal migrants. And you go, hurrah, that's fantastic, right? She says, well, listen to her. She says illegal migration, the system is tearing Britain apart. Have a watch. This is Shabana.
This is a moral mission for me. I can see that illegal migration is creating division across our country. I can see that it is polarising communities across the country. I can see that it is dividing people and making them estranged from one another. I don't want to stand back and watch that happen in my country. What is happening with our illegal migration system is this is a broken system. It's not right-wing talking points or fake news or misinformation that is suggesting that we've got a problem. I know, because I have now seen this system inside out. It is a broken system.
Which is extraordinary from a Labour MP. I think Nigel tweeted over the weekend and said she sounds like a Reform MP, and that's the point. Is she finally a Labour politician / Home Secretary who gets it? But more than that, we're already hearing, even from The Guardian, that left-wing leading paper, that backbenchers and human rights lawyers have absolutely guaranteed that they'll torpedo her plan. So on the one hand, I'm sat here thinking, does she get it? Does she want to be leader? On the other, I'm thinking, well, nothing will be changed at all in any which way, because the usual people will jump up and down. Your thoughts on that migration situation? This, of course, comes as, I don't know if you saw this, thousands of protesters, local residents yesterday, against a plan to house 600 male asylum seekers in an army camp in East Sussex. I mean, that's the reality, isn't it? You always see those marches, you know, the people, the local people, be they pink ladies or whatever, saying, look, this isn't great. These are unvetted men. There are no signs of families being allowed into our communities, and we know what can and has happened. And then you've got the, you know, you're all fascist, you're all right-wing, you're all outrageous, the unwashed who eat vegetables quite a lot. Question this morning, very simple. Do you have faith? Do you have faith that Labour will be able to crack down on illegal migration? Half of me said that sentence, and as I was halfway through it, I thought, why am I even asking that of my dear audience, all 11 of you? Do you have faith that Labour will, we're at 12, be able to handle and carry through a crackdown on illegal migration? We'll throw into the mix as well our Ange, fresh off setting up a new company, Wrong Move. She's planning to challenge Keir Starmer, allegedly this morning we're here, to become Labour leader, and he's said to be already offering MPs cabinet jobs. However, an exclusive in the next 10 minutes as to why she doesn't seem to be able to pay back the 40 grand stamp duty so far that she owns. There's a story on the front of the Telegraph, peeps, that really I'm going to have to have a bit of fun with. Well done, Christian. The UK Health Security Agency has said that concerns over climate change could be fueling Britain's drug use. In essence, in layperson's terms, I'm so worried that, you know, it's going to rain a lot or be too sunny or there's going to be an earthquake that I've started snorting cocaine. If you're tuning in, I haven't, obviously, that's a line. Apparently, eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief is affecting people's mental well-being. Not the fact they can't afford to pay their bills, or this country's overrun by migrants, or the fact that so much of our country is on its backside. No, I'm very, very worried about eco-situations. And finally, as you get into your van or your car and head to work, on the school run or whatever, the latest war on motorists, this is appalling. Led by Sadiq Khan, Britain's roads are going to be made narrower, my friends, so that you can't overtake cyclists. Now, Christian and I have talked about this in great detail, about how I mustn't, between 6 and 7, combust, because by the time we get to 8 o'clock there'll be nothing left. I don't like cyclists. I don't like people in lycra. I don't like the fact that I sit at a traffic light and they just go through a red light or drive in front of me, or going down you see it started, Pops, going down a country lane. They don't pay insurance, they don't pay road tax. That's my thoughts. What do you make of that? Our roads are going to be made narrower to make sure that cyclists are all right. It's 8 minutes past 6. You're very welcome. Good morning, Poppy. This studio is like a Turkish butt. It's as hot as anything in here, isn't it?
It's actually quite nice. I've just come from my freezing cold flat. And so it's like a sauna in here. You know, it's helping
freezing cold flat.
Defrost me.
This is presumably because you didn't get your heating allowance, but you're not a pensioner anyway.
No, of course. Not there yet.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's lovely to have you. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, you heard me say, says that she will basically introduce a Trump-style visa ban on countries, and illegal migration is broken, and I am the person whose parents were legal migrants, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s, to change the entire world. What do you make of this? Do you believe her?
Look, everything she's saying sounds brilliant. You know, this is actually a sensible policy. Certain countries have a 1% returns rate when they get rejected for asylum. Countries like Somalia, they just don't go back if they're rejected for asylum. Bangladesh, you know, Bangladesh isn't at war. It's just a poorer country than the UK. That's not a reason that you should be able to stay here, frankly. So I'm glad she's saying that, although 3 countries is too few. My concern is we've heard very good rhetoric from innumerable Home Secretaries that I can remember who have said the right thing but have been unable to actually wrangle the system, or maybe aren't so honest about their actual goals in mind of what they wanted to do in the job, and then have got nothing done. So we heard this with Suella Braverman, right? Suella Braverman made all the right noises. She was pushing through the Rwanda plan. I think she really genuinely cared. I really do. I think she was desperate to get these policies out the door, and she couldn't outmanoeuvre the Home Office, and frankly, she couldn't outmanoeuvre her own party. Now, imagine how difficult that is to deal with the Conservative Party compared to the Labour Party.
Yeah.
The Labour Party who has had loads of backbenchers coming out in the last couple of days saying Shabana Mahmood is awful.
She's a racist.
She's a racist.
I know, I read that.
I mean, I don't know if she looked in the mirror in the morning. It must be quite difficult for her to be a racist, but there you go. Completely slandering her for these, again, very, very common sense plans. She's one of the few people on the Labour front benches who has talent. That's why she was shuffled out of the Justice Ministry in the first place. That whole reshuffle, I think, was to get Shabana Mahmood in the Home Office and remove Yvette Cooper. And so, look, I wish her the best, but I don't know if she's going to do it. I don't think you can tinker with the system. Do
you think it's inside her DNA that she wants to do something, or, without being cynical, is she pitching to be the next leader of the Labour Party? Because you do have to take this ragbag tale of... I mean, there's a huge divide across the Tory party, but the Labour Party is something else, isn't it?
Well, they always say they're like a family, and like any good family, they're riven by conflict. I mean, I do think she's going for the leadership. I think she's made that pretty clear behind the scenes in the last couple of months. And the thing is, though, that's kind of strange, if you want to win the Labour leadership now, you have to tack left. It's one reason why Wes Streeting would never become Labour leader, because you have to be voted for by the members.
Well, we said this the other day, which is really frightening. If you're waking up this morning, and like most of us, you go, "Oh God, Keir Starmer, please, how much more of this?" I mean, even he looks like he knows it's all over.
Yeah.
We had the saga last week with Wes Streeting being briefed against and coming out, Shabana Mahmood making her pitch. But you know as well as I do that what will happen is you get 20%, I think, of the Labour Party parliamentary party. So you need 81 MPs to support you. And then it goes to a ballot. It goes to a ballot of the members. 73% of Labour members want Ed Miliband as the next Prime Minister.
No, I think he will be. I think he will be our next Prime Minister.
He will be our next Prime Minister. Sorry, from the James topic. Are you really being... Because I'm going to have to leave.
I am deadly serious. I'm deadly serious. He's clearly thinking about it. When Andy Burnham made his move during Labour conference, Ed Miliband was one of the people who was like watching there and like, won't do that. He moved too early. Shabana Mahmood, I think she's moved too early because she's been heavily briefing all the Blue Labour stuff in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Wes Streeting has been ready for the Labour leadership since he came out of the womb. So you can probably discount him from the race, and David Lammy wants it, but let's be honest, he ain't going to get it.
But to me, I mean, Ed Miliband is probably an even more scarier proposition.
He's actually quite competent. He would,
is he?
Well, competent insofar as he would know how to get things done, which, if you disagree with the Labour Party, is the last thing you want. You actually want them to be gummed up in procedure.
Yeah.
I think Ed Miliband would get policies done, like he's done in his Energy Secretary role. You can thank Ed Miliband for our high energy costs, which are only going to get worse in the coming years. I would be terrified at the prospect of Ed Miliband as Prime Minister, but I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's pretty likely.
Very quickly, Mark in Croydon. Morning, guys. If that had been Reform saying that, it would be called far right. I'll believe it when I see it. This is Labour, Jez. They're just desperate to try and stay in power and say whatever Reform is saying. That's Mark in Croydon. Morning to Maggie in London. She's talking the talk, but will she walk the walk? No, she won't. More BS to appease the country. Anyone with the brain will know. Managed to ruin all of our text messages. I pushed the wrong button, so I can't see it. That's just a great start to my week, isn't it? They're looking at me through the glass like, you're such an incompetent git. Let's talk, though, about the other story on the back of the leadership. When this is extraordinary. How many weeks ago was it that Angela Rayner disappeared back to wherever it was, Brighton in the apartment or Manchester in the house, in disgrace, hadn't paid back the stamp duty, was forced to resign as Deputy Prime Minister and Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Didn't see her for about a month, then saw her sitting next to Lucy Powell in the Commons. Angela Rayner, ladies and gentlemen, is reportedly planning to challenge Keir Starmer to become Labour leader. She's the darling of the left wing, the darling of the unions, and is said to be already offering MPs cabinet jobs ahead of the budget, which is, of course, the 26th of November. Gutted I'm not going to be here for that next week. Damn, that was well sorted. You've got an this is unbelievable. She owes 40 grand in stamp duty. Go, Poppy Coburn.
Well, I think the reason she's not paying her 40 grand stamp duty back, and I overheard this from a Labour MP, is that she doesn't have the money for it. She can't pay it. And she's got a rock and a hard place problem. She can't fundraise for the money because that's against parliamentary conventions. She can't also accept a caution from the police because she wants to run for leader. So she literally just can't do anything at all. She's completely paralysed. She can't get this money together, the 40 grand lump sum.
If she doesn't pay it, she get a caution. That would mean politically she's neutered.
Politically suicide, yeah.
Well, surely one of her donors will give her 40 grand, won't they?
You can't just do that. You can't just hand someone 40 grand when someone's a parliamentarian. I mean...
Can you not?
No.
Not even privately?
No, because that could be corruption. I mean, you have to explain why the money was being given to you.
So why wouldn't you...
She would have to come out publicly and say, I don't have the 40 grand, so so-and-so's just bugged it to me. But I promise he won't have any influence over any future decisions I make. I mean, it's not very credible, isn't it? No. If someone gave me 40 grand, then I'd be singing their praises to the high hills.
Can you get my chequebook, please? See, even that doesn't work nowadays. People laugh. Cheques, right? Sorry, I know this is irrelevant. Do you still write cheques?
I've never written a cheque in my life.
I love cheques and I love letters. It's 6:15. Angela Rayner could be the next... I mean, could she win?
I think she's a bit like Louise Hay in that people
What,
like...
a criminal?
She was the phone fraudster, but people like her within the Labour Party purely because Keir Starmer got rid of her. So there's this kind of like, up yours, Keir Starmer, you know, we're going to get behind the person that you got rid of.
Yeah.
I don't actually think anyone seriously thinks Rayner could be the leader, apart from Rayner and her allies. I don't think she's really actually going to get the job. Again, I think it's going to be someone like Ed Miliband.
Where does she and he sit? Are they as one, she and Miliband? Would they be close?
I mean, again, I think it's like the enemy of our enemy is a shared friend. I don't think they actually have that much in common.
No.
I think, again, Rayner is too ambitious, whereas Ed's a bit more calculating. And I think he would probably think that she's not experienced enough to do that role, so he would move against her if she did it. But she definitely wants it. I mean, it's clear. She wants the leadership. She thinks she could do a much better job than Keir Starmer. She's furious about the way she was treated over the housing scandal.
Sorry, can we just go back? Because you know more than I do politically. You're a journalist. She's furious?
Yeah. She's
How?
serious. She thinks
Why?
the whole story is like a right-wing smear against her. She didn't really do anything wrong. You know, it was just briefly to get rid of her because she was too much of a threat within the party.
No shame.
Yeah, no, but none of these people have shame. None of these people have shame.
None at all. Interestingly, on the migrant tracker, this is really, really interesting. Thank you, Christian. This is really important. Just going back to that first story. Channel migrants since Sir Keir Starmer became Prime Minister, 62,229. 62,229 since Starmer became PM. This year only, nigh on 39,000. Shabana Mahmood says, ladies and gentlemen, if you're waking up, I am going to sort out the issues. We're talking about how that puts almost at odds with the left of the party. The Guardian this morning already saying she's toast, she's a racist. In effect, that's what they're saying. Also, locally, thousands of local residents protested yesterday against plans to house 600 male asylum seekers in an army camp in East Sussex.
I would love to talk about this because it was Crowborough. It's part of Rachel Millward. He's the deputy leader of the Green Party's constituency.
Please love this story, Pete. Listen, this is great.
I've been having such fun with this. Right, so obviously the Green Party, refugees are welcome here. Oh, but just not here in my leafy constituency's backyard. So she had co-signed a letter from the leader of her local council saying that there were concerns about having 600 male unvetted migrants housed in an army base on her constituency. Concerns, apparently. But as much as she loves refugees, and she wants it to be really clear that she does love refugees, guess what her reasoning for opposing it was when I pushed her on it? It's, well, I'm actually worried about their safety. She's worried about their safety. So, I mean, the question then is, do you think that your constituents and the residents of Crowborough are so dangerous to these poor 600 unvetted male illegal migrants that they're going to, kill them? They're going to hurt them? I mean, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I want to bring this up as much as I can because this is the reality of the Green Party. You know, that they are somehow even more incompetent than the Labour Party when it comes to the small boats crisis. You know, obviously this community doesn't want 600 males in them. Like, obviously, we've had every day there's a new story about, like, some awful atrocity that's been committed by an asylum seeker because it's just not right to house people like this. They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be here in the first place. There's no good saying you're going to put them in private housing because we know that they've still committed crimes in private housing. It doesn't make the slightest bit of difference. Now you don't have security guards, actually, so you can't monitor people. What you need to do, if I was Shabana Mahmood and I actually wanted to stop it, is I would suspend all of these refugee conventions, the ECHR, I'd pull out the 1951 convention, and I'd say we're going to have a pause on any refugees that come through unless through an act of parliament. So if something like Ukraine happens or the Hong Kong overseas nationals, we will let them in, but otherwise it's no. And everyone who turns up will be removed to a third country. Everyone. For 5 years, we're putting a complete pause on the system
a good idea.
while we work through the backlog. Because at the moment, I mean, all of this stuff is tinkering about. As you've just pointed out, 64,000 people have come already.
I'm loving this story about Crowborough. And what's really weird about this is, I don't want to go into too much detail, but a man through a man texted me at the weekend. He's a racehorse trainer in Sussex, around the Findon area, Crowborough area. And he wanted to talk to me about this. I didn't have a chance to call him, and I wouldn't name him on the show, but I didn't realise. I am so at pains about the Greens. I think it is easy, isn't it? I mean, I did come out with the line the other day that I do think Zach Polanski made. You know, this is the man that hypnotised women.
The breast enlarger.
I think he hypnotised.
Was it the boob whisperer?
I think he hypnotised his dentist, but we'll take the rest of it there. I think his dentist passed out. But the truth is, they talk about equality and this and this and this. There's two things you need to know about the Green Party. One is they would tax 70% anybody who's probably earns anything over about £1, because that's what they are, because that's how they will pay for it. But this is interesting. Has Zach Polanski responded to the fact that his deputy, refugees are welcome, but not him? This reminds me of the housing debacle in this country, which is that all these MPs pontificate, we need more houses, just not in my constituency.
Yeah.
This is exactly... And you interviewed her, and she didn't backtrack. She came out, we're worried for their safety.
Worried for their safety.
In case a racehorse runs over them or something in Crowborough or something.
It's inappropriate to house them in army barracks again. Like, ask anyone who's actually in the army, was it inappropriate for them to be housed in the barracks before it was used for refugees?
Good question, yeah.
And what she wants to do is put them in her constituency. Now, I don't know about you, but this is a very wealthy, leafy constituency. How are you going to find 600 homes to house the people there? Is the council expected to pay for them? How many millions of pounds is going to be spent?
The hypocrisy of the Greens. I love this.
And they always complain, the Green Party, we don't get enough airtime. Reform is always on the news. Oh, we want to be spoken about just equally as reform. We've got as many MPs as them. I completely agree. I would love to hear more about the Green Party because they are mad. They are completely insane. Please, I want them to come out and actually say to me at my face, what are you going to do to stop the small boats crisis in 10 words? Go on, tell me, because everyone else has to come up with their plan.
Let's set the challenge. We are welcome to take somebody from the Green Party on talk, but they won't. They won't.
No, I'm sure they won't do it because they have a no conversation rule, right? So they complain about not getting any coverage, but then they'll come on and they'll say they're being treated unfairly because, like any journalist would, they're being asked questions.
Yes.
Because they want to be MPs.
Very good. Just gone 6:20. It's Monday, 17th of November. The amazing Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph here. She just told you the story about the deputy leader of the Green Party, Rachel Millward. Refugees are welcome in our country.
Just not here.
Just not in Crowborough, because it's dangerous to them. In a leafy East Sussex constituency. The big news story of the day, Shabana Mahmood, the Labour Home Secretary, will today threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take back illegal migrants. And we both said, Pops and I, great language. Can it happen inside the Labour Party? To the break. Pete, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Another Monday morning. This Shabana Mahmood thing, she's all talk. It's never going to get through because the Labour Party are not going to vote for what she wants anyway, and the illegals are going to continue flooding into this country. As for having Angela Rayner as Prime Minister, how does that sit then? A Prime Minister who has tax dodged. Oh, great. This country looks an embarrassment across the globe as it is, but having her in there, hey, Europe. I tell you what, I noticed they haven't put a block on visas from Ethiopia.
Some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the home of common sense. Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan.
Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's 6:25. It's Monday the 17th of November. On the day, my friends, that the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says, and I quote, "I'm going to bring in a Trump-style visa ban. I am going to sort out illegal migration. The system is broken, and I, the daughter of legal migrants from the 80s, will change this country." Great words. In fact, Poppy and I were saying before the break, probably the first time you've heard a Labour Home Secretary say that. But can she do it? Is it feasible? Kitty, good morning.
So David Calamity Lammy said no more prisoners would get out of prison, and they did. Rachel Reeves said she wouldn't put up taxes, and she did. Keir Starmer said he would not allow any sleaze, and he has. So why do we believe the Home Secretary when she pays lip service to what she thinks the people want to hear? They're liars, they're incompetents. Nothing is going to get better. It's only going to get worse. We need a change of government.
It's what most people think.
It's sobering, but it's spot on. I think she's completely right, which is that the level of trust is so low. I don't want to hear words anymore. I just want to see action. And if they can't provide the action, then I don't really care.
I'm trying to be balanced. This is Shabana Mahmood saying, I will restore order.
In the last 4 years, 400,000 people claimed asylum here. Over 100,000 are housed and supported at taxpayers' expense, putting huge pressure on local communities. We need to reduce the numbers coming here illegally. We need to remove more people who have no right to be here. We will always be a country that gives sanctuary to those fleeing danger, but we must restore order and control.
I've got a question for you, right, Pops? I've got a question. A couple of people texting this. Just a thought. If these words are great, if this resonates with people, but there's going to be a cynicism about whether or not they can make it happen, why are we 16 months in then? When you came to smash gangs and sort out immigration, when you got to the pinnacle of power 16 months ago, why was nobody using this language? Why was Shabana Mahmood not seen as somebody that would do this? I don't believe the Labour Party wants to sort out immigration. I believe, personally, just a personal opinion, this is a reaction to not only reform and the fact that the rhetoric amongst so many people, in fact the desire amongst many people, is to get a bloody answer to this.
Well, people told the Labour Party when they first came into power, smash the gangs is a farce.
Yep.
It's not how the system works. It's got nothing to do with the gangs. People aren't being held at gunpoint and told to get on a small boat. They're getting on a small boat because they want to. They're paying a lot of money to get on a small boat. There's a massive demand to come here. We don't stop people from we don't make them leave when they come here, so that's how the system works. And they ignored it because they didn't actually care about stopping the boats. They just wanted to manage the comms issue. They just wanted the media to go away and stop talking about it, and the public to have the wool pulled over their eyes and think the asylum system has been dealt with. This is unfortunately the classic Labour playbook, right? Which is they'll do something to liberalise the immigration system massively, and then when there's a backlash, they'll get in someone tough, like a Blunkett type, who says, we're going to smash some heads together, we're going to deal with the illegal migration problem, we're going to get the asylum numbers down, and maybe he gets them down a little bit, maybe there's 10,000 less people coming every year, but the system that was created by the Labour Party is still in place, and nothing has fundamentally changed in how asylum works in this country. And I think a lot of voters who remember the first Labour government, when Tony Blair was in charge, have wised up to this kind of thing. And just don't believe Shabana Mahmood. And I do think she's better than the rest. I think she's head and shoulders more talented than them. But it doesn't matter, because she's in the Labour Party.
There's so many people responding. You did right, David. Jez, Poppy, I don't trust Shabana Mahmood as far as I could throw her. Her plan won't happen. And worst of all, she knows it. Pete's in Croydon. Morning, guys. I've stopped listening to anything coming out of the lying front bench's mouths. Mahmood acts like a tough guy, but it's all false. We can all see through that this is just reality. JK Poppy, how on earth could the prospect of putting a man in as PM who can't even eat a bloody bacon sandwich? This is the thought that Ed Miliband, my friends, could indeed be your new Prime Minister. Good morning, Jez and Poppy. If I had my way, cyclists would be banned from any road that was too narrow to overtake. There will be loads on this story if you are waking up in the latest war. I have to calm myself on motorists. Britain's roads are to be made narrower to stop us drivers from overtaking those lycra-wearing, leg-shave vegans that call themselves... I honestly, it winds the hell out of me. Morning, Neil. Why do we think that not authorising visas for people who come here without them now makes any difference at all, says Neil. Hello to Phil in Coventry. Morning, guys. As much as the idea of Mad Ed being our Prime Minister fills me with dread, it's also quite funny. Why not, I say? Bring it on. We need it to get worse so that even the last remaining Labour voters realise that Labour are finished. The problem with Miliband is he believes the crap that comes out of his mouth, doesn't he?
Oh, completely. He's a true ideologue. He believes every single word of it. He really believes in this green transition stuff, which makes him so dangerous, right? Which makes him dangerous.
Which brings us perfectly on to a wonderful story on the front of the Daily Telegraph. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you're doing at 6:30 on Monday the 17th, just please take a minute to understand the complexity of this story. The UK Health Security Agency has today in its wisdom denounced that climate change could be fueling Britain's increasing drug use. They say that Brits are at risk of being gripped by eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief, and that their mental well-being is so damaged by difficult climate emotions that they've taken to stuffing illegal substances in their body. I literally, this is on the front of your newspaper, this is unbelievable.
No, look, I'm going to change my behaviour.
Right.
As in response to this story.
Yes.
At lunchtime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Victoria bus station. There's a lot of addicts hanging around outside. Yeah. I'm not going to get them a Costa coffee. Instead, what I'm going to do is give them a badge from Greenpeace and tell them, don't worry. Don't worry, we're going to get there. We're going to get to net zero eventually, mate.
It'll be fine. Please don't snort another line. We'll get there. I mean, it might upset the friends of the earth, but it's fine. It's good. How much did this study cost? What is wrong with these people?
All of these supposed independent expertise agencies. I mean, look, I'm still technically classed as a young person. I've still got my rail card. And I don't know a single young person who has climate anxiety. I mean, they might say they do because they want to get out of an exam test or something along those lines, or they can't be asked to go to work on a Monday. But no one actually has climate anxiety. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, I don't get anxious when the summers are hot. I'm like, thank God, we can do the bit more.
People will say, but if you look at, I mean, I'm just doing my best here, mate. I'm with you completely. People will say, look at these storms and these hurricanes and everything, and doesn't that fill you with dread? And when I answer this really candidly, my eldest daughter thinks I'm the devil. That's your problem, mate. I'm 60. Honestly, I believe that I'm sure there are issues, and I think they overcook numbers when they go 70% of the United Kingdom is concerned. I think people will go, yeah, listen, I've got an interest in the climate being okay. But, underlined in big letters, but, I'd quite like us to deal with energy problems, with social problems, with justice, with prisons, with our army, with immigration, with the things that are devaluing every part of our society. Well, that's how I see it.
Well, here's what the climate scaremongers won't tell you, which is that actually we are moving towards a green transition globally. It's happening. Don't worry about it, because it is happening. People much smarter than us, being paid a lot more money than us, have already come up with a lot of solutions to deal with climate change and manage it and manage the green energy transition. What I find so shameful is that we've told a generation of young people that the oceans are about to boil alive, all the fish in them, and if you don't recycle, then you are personally complicit in climate genocide. I mean, that is a load of rubbish. And unfortunately, there's, people used to call them watermelons, right? Because they're green on the outside, red on the inside. People who actually have their own agenda, who want to bring in some kind of economic reforms that somehow benefit them, will dress it all up in the language of, it's climate friendly, it's eco-climate, whatever. And they'll fund people to do these stupid studies that pretending people do doing cocaine because they're so worried about the pandas. And it's a load of rubbish. And it's completely unfair to do this to a generation of people who've been relentlessly propagandised about what climate change actually is and how it's going to affect your life.
And you think of the costs, and you think, I love watermelon. We have got to go with that. That's fantastic. Green on the inside and red on the inside, on the outside, red on the inside. I just think it's about priorities. I just think there's enough going on, mate, that you think, what?
Well, look at the story that was coming out this weekend of the Oxfordshire River that was absolutely clogged with rubbish, completely clogged.
Have we got a picture of this? This is absolutely appalling. I think Christian, have you got a video of this, Christian? I think he probably has. We'll just go, this is awful.
Yeah, it's appalling, right? So this whole river is completely clogged with rubbish. It's an actual environmental scandal, right? There's been fly tipping that's been going on for years. Meanwhile, what's Oxford County Council focusing on? Stupid virtue signalling green schemes. So there's actually a river that's been horrifically polluted in this constituency, in this local council, and they're not doing a single thing about it.
This is an illegal rubbish heap located beside the A34 on the River Cherwood. It stretches 500 feet. We're going to get... There it is. It's on screen right now. That is a river. If you're... That's appalling.
It's the sort of thing you expect to see in India or something.
It stretches 500 feet and contains plastic, foam and wood. It's about 2 feet above the river. It's literally, the river is just rubbish.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And that's in the same area, that's in Oxfordshire Council, where it's all about climate anxiety. So rather than dealing with that, they're spending millions on a bunch of people who've decided that if you are worried about the climate, that's going to make you take cocaine.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, well, I care about my local environment. I want Britain to be beautiful. I don't want the rivers to be filled with sewage.
Are you trying to admit on this station that you're a smackhead? What are you trying to say to me? I'm completely confused.
But I just think these people are rubbish. They don't actually care. They don't actually care about, there you go, good one. They don't actually care about their local environment. They don't actually care about making Britain beautiful and good for, little birds and bees to live in. What they want to do is virtue signal or push their political agenda. I think you shouldn't listen to them. And when you hear stories like this, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
This is a brilliant, brilliant story if you're waking up this morning. The UK Health Security Agency, Boo-hoo, have said that climate change could be fueling UK's drug use, and all that eco-fear and eco-anger and eco-grief is finding itself in young people, more people of all ages saying, I'm so worried about what's going to happen, that, as Poppy said, the ocean's going to boil the fish. I've become a crackhead. Unbelievable. Another great story, by the way. And the man that was part of this, Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform, will be on this show after 8 o'clock this morning. Another great story in the Telegraph that will get you guys going. Tice is saying special needs in young are over-diagnosed. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I find this story really interesting, right, because I was saying during the break that my cousin, severely autistic, really severely autistic, has to go to a special school, completely non-verbal. So I care really deeply about special needs provisions. I think it's really important that those people are supported properly. What I find very frustrating, though, is how the parameters of what constitutes special needs has expanded. I again know this firsthand. My mum works in pastoral care at a state school. She has to deal with a lot of students that have really severe mental health problems, and that's great. And if they could be supported in mainstream education, they should be. But there's a lot of people who are now getting these special needs provisions just as much as someone like my cousin would, who's, again, non-verbal, who have anxiety, who have depression. Now, I'm not doubting that these are real conditions. They can be crippling when they hit people, but a lot of teenagers are anxious and depressed because they are teenagers. And what I find very frustrating is that when someone like Richard Tice will come out and say this, and he's quite brave to do so, because a lot of people will be saying, well, you're saying you want to take benefits away from my child's really struggling. We have to kind of draw a line here between cases of people who genuinely need support. It was like the same thing with Pip, right? I mean, anyone in a wheelchair should be given full support. They should get their access to their car. They should get their access to benefits so they can work and live a full life. But there are a lot of people in this country, unfortunately, who will take the mickey. And we shouldn't be naive here, because it is a problem with the public finances. If we want the welfare state to exist in 50 years' time, we're going to have to make it sustainable. And it is not sustainable to have a third of my generation, or the generation that's coming after me, saying that they can't work because they've got anxiety. That is just not sustainable. So it might seem rude, it might seem mean, and I think people will get upset about certain aspects of this story, but you're going to have to be realistic here. You're going to have to draw a line between people who really, really, really deserve that help and absolutely should be supported, and they shouldn't have their money cut from them. It's not fair. And so you've got to say, look, you're going to have to find ways to manage and cope with this, because life is hard. Life is hard.
It's really, God, I'm going to sound like my dad. Isn't it refreshing to hear? I mean, I wouldn't ask you how old you are, but you're the younger generation. Everybody is compared to me. I completely agree with you. We had it the other week when we were talking about benefits and how I think 4 million now are on benefits. And the minute you start this debate, of course, the fear factor amongst people who are genuinely in need. I said it on Friday, I said it again. I am more than happy, in fact, I'm probably a massive supporter, more than most people I know, of a system that says we're going to help you if you can't help yourself. I'm really happy to pay my tax for that, morally as a person. What I'm fed up to the back teeth with, and what Richard means in this article and what you're saying as well, is we have to acknowledge the fact that unless this system is changed or the parameters within which you can have those benefits are changed, there won't be a system for the people who genuinely deserve it, and more than anything are probably missing out. And we have there is an entitled generation. There is a generation, it was never, I said it before, benefits, well, it wasn't a career choice for me.
No.
It was school or college. It wasn't signing on. And so the people like your cousin, non-verbal, who needs round-the-clock care, people with severe disabilities, mental illnesses, who are desperate to work and can't, are being shortchanged by people who are going, I mean, I've seen it. There was in a company, a friend of mine, he basically is a manager and he's got a team, and he was in bits about 3 weeks ago. He had to say to somebody, and one of those, what is it, whatever it's called, you look at you for a year and have a chat with you about how you've done. I've never had anybody do that to me. It's called an appraisal, that's right. I'd just get fired. And he said to him, look, there's a couple of areas of your job that you need basically, you know, cleaning up on. Been off for three weeks, suffering from anxiety. So what position are we allowed to say that's good or that's bad? And I think this article's really important. And I love your thoughts on this article this morning. Richard Tyre, special needs in young is overdiagnosed. We've become almost a country that is making excuses. It's not about slaughtering the genuine people. It's about actually saying we want the system to be improved because the genuine people are missing out, right?
Completely. And again, like, the best thing that will help you with your mental health issues, and it never feels like it at the time, but it's true, is to actually try and live a normal life as much as possible. And of course, it's easy to say that when you're in a position where you are doing okay, but it is true. You look back on the times in your life where you've suffered from depression, and the best advice you'd get is go to the gym, go for a walk, get a shower, go into work, just try and live that normal life, and eventually it will come naturally to you. What worries me is that we've created a generation of young people for whom it's an identity issue. For them, it's like, it's part of my identity that I'm anxious, or I have OCD, or I'm diagnosing myself with some form of very, very, very mild autism. And OK, fine, if it's just an identity thing, that's one thing. But what concerns me is these people then think they can't work a normal life. And that's really sad. You can miss out on a full life.
And I think we label everybody. Goodness me, you are so switched on. 20 minutes to 7 o'clock. Now, we're going to go to the break with a voice note from Darren. And Christian has written in brackets, we do not condone Darren's voice note, and he is saying it in jest. Go.
Morning, Jazz. Just to let you know, mate, just done a line of coke before I go to work. Obviously, bricking it because of the climate change. And as for bikes, these are the people that only work Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays, aren't they? Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Across the UK. On on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Morning Glory, approaching 6:45 Monday. Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph. Giving it honestly to everybody. Tony says, good morning, both of you. Shabana Mahmood should join Reform UK if she really believes what she's saying. Can I ask you very quickly, do you think Reform UK and parties that have been talking about, dealing with illegal migration will see this as her trying to take some of their ground, or will they sit there and go, been saying it for 2 years, 5 years, for Christ's sake, you're just jumping on the bandwagon?
Well, it's just like when the Tories were doing the exact same thing with the ILR changes, right? That was the change to indefinite leave to remain, moving it from 5 years to 10 years, or maybe even suspending it. They're just like, well, yeah, that's what we said. And frankly, they're higher in the polls than these two other parties are, the Labour and the Conservatives. So they're probably like, I'm flattered about the attention, but people are going to go for the real thing, aren't they?
Morning, Rachel. She says, could you please explain to Poppy, I've got climate anxiety and the climate created by Labour. I'm getting ill from incessant taxation, inflation, destruction of aspiration and record crime. It's killing me. Zoe, good morning, guys. It's all right saying these migrants can't have full citizenship for 20 years, revising it every two at which they will be granted. They're still here and the boats are still coming. Our country is tiny compared to Australia and other EU countries, so we are getting fuller and fuller. This will encourage jobs in the black market, and these people are only coming because the English language is spoken worldwide and it's easier to learn, plus we're soft. This won't stop. More lies just to get to the May elections, gaslighting at its worst. Zoe in Lancashire. I sort of agree with that. The threat of refusing visas over migrant returns is more gaslighting. Just how are we to know how many visas are refused, says Mick. Good point. Good morning to Steve. Where is Starmer?
He's probably on holiday again, isn't he?
I don't know. When was the last time he had anything to say with any substance at all? Listen, he missed several. Wouldn't it be great if we had a totaliser showing the amount of days that have passed since he actually said something worthwhile? There's a good idea. We've done the migrant tracker. Why don't we do a Starmer? I don't know what you call it. Christian will come up with something fantastic on that score. That's Steve. Morning, Jez and Poppy. No way they won't sort it, although I believe the Home Secretary does recognise the issues. But the backbenches, as with the budget, are calling the shots. I've just had an offer to do social housing for asylum seekers as a landlord. I told them to poke it. As for the Green Party, they should be called the Green with Envy Party. Their tax plans will be Labour on steroids. Absolutely. We are a country in more trouble than we realise, says Helen in London. Anne's in Archway. The appropriate seasonal saying for this, fine words, butter, no parsnips. What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? Parsnips. Morning, Anne, anyway. Now, let's move it on. You'll love this. There's a story. Well, you won't. Darren says, this country is skint and on its arse. Where's the money going to come from to pay for all these roads to be made narrow? This is a story that is going to send me through there, but I'm going to calm myself. Telegraph, page 6. All in the Telegraph today. Fantastic. Roads, latest war on the motorist. Britain's roads are to be made narrower to stop drivers from overtaking cyclists. My head's gone already. I'll leave it to you, Pops.
Isn't it so funny that there's never any money for filling out, potholes or building new ring roads or anything useful like that? Yeah. But apparently there's a limited pot of money that's made to make roads more difficult to drive on, so cyclists can use it. I mean, didn't we just spend millions and millions of pounds building these separate cycle lanes? And now apparently we need to let cyclists take control of the road. I mean, I assume you'll see this in the A11 soon. I also find this story really irritating because my office is by a very busy road and I'm often crossing backwards and forwards against it to get another coffee because I work quite early in the morning. And I'm almost always having these near misses with bikes because they do not pay attention to the rules of the road. They will go through green lights, they'll go through red lights all the time. They won't even ring their little annoying bell. They'll just go straight for you. They don't wear their helmets, they don't do anything. They feel like they're already in complete control of the road. So I'm not surprised now that they're demanding that cars can't overtake them as they slowly cycle their way along.
When you sorry, I know this is a nationwide station and quite rightly, but when you come into London, just if you go, you sweep underneath as you head up to it. That underpass, right, was narrow anyway. It's now one lane, and they've brought in the sides with these big metal barriers. And this is all started with Sadiq Khan. I don't know what British drivers are supposed to do anymore, right? We pay record amounts of road tax, we pay record amounts of insurance, fuel goes through the roof on a regular basis. My argument with cyclists, I know I joked about Lycra and stuff, don't pay insurance, you're dead right. Yeah. I had a guy on the show a year ago whose wife was knocked down by a cyclist and tragically died. He spent ages trying to get any justice whatsoever. They don't have insurance. No. There's some rule, you'll check this out, you'll think I'm joking. There's some law in 1700s about donkeys that allows them to get away with whatever they're allowed to do. Road tax, we have to pay to drive into London, into other cities in this country. Not cyclists. How is that? And you're dead right, by the way, the thing that gets me. You'll sit at a traffic light, you should wait, red. They drive straight in front of you and straight to the red light. And police don't or can't or I don't get it.
It's
awful.
It's so dangerous. And the other thing that's unfair on motorists, right, is now Rachel Reeves a couple of weeks ago was saying that she's going to equalise it for electric cars. That they're now just going to have to pay as much as petrol drivers.
When did she say that?
A couple of weeks ago.
She's changed her mind today, so don't worry about that. She's not going to do that at all. But yeah, so roads to be narrowed in war on motorists. I get really... So this other thing that winds the hell out of me is, why are they allowed to have 4 across the road? Why can't they be in single file?
Yeah, completely.
Because you can't get past if there's 2 or 3, and they say it's to protect each other.
I understand that sometimes, no problem with cyclists. I do cycling holidays sometimes. There are certain places... Yeah, I'm quite outdoorsy. There are certain people who will do, like, cycling to work, and they'll have it, like, they live in, like, Oxford or Cambridge, and it's easy to cycle around there, fine. Use a cycle lane. It is not fair to be taking up a whole road when people are commuting in the morning, going at about 2 miles an hour in your bike, and then getting really angry when people want to overtake you. That is not fair.
Not just
not
angry,
what the roads were designed
video
for.
you and create all hell's loose, whatever.
Exactly, and it becomes like some kind of culture war issue because they think that all drivers should be like bowing down to them because they're so virtuous for cycling.
Nicola's in Norfolk. She says, has any thought whatsoever been given to the implications for emergency vehicles if roads are narrowed to stop bloody vehicles overtaking cyclists? Clearly not. Good point. Good morning to Margaret in Yorkshire. Jez, the migrants in France and the rest of Europe are not in a war. They're in a safe places. Surely they have no right to want to come here. They're not fleeing a war. They just want a better lifestyle. Leo, good morning. On the protest in East Sussex, this is in Crowborough, we're going to repeat this story. A staggering 600 unvetted, sexually active, fighting-age male immigrants all in one small locality. Run for your lives and hide away your daughters, says Leo. Many people in Crowborough feel the same. Poppy has to do this story again. Who's the local MP?
That's Rachel Millward. She's the co-deputy leader of the Green Party, and she doesn't want these migrants to be housed there. But get this, it's for their safety.
Hold on a second, let's do
residents.
a skit. I thought that their banner, their thing in the Green Party was to say refugees are welcome.
Yeah, just not here.
Oh, right.
Just not here, just not in my constituency.
Is that just in her constituency? And what is the reason?
Because they won't be safe from her local residents, because apparently they're so racist and dangerous, and, you know... No, it's for the safety of the 600 males. They're the people we need to worry about.
Very quickly, the civil service. The Telegraph's got it all today. Page 6, the civil service employs 500 diversity officers. She's great.
No.
What does that mean?
Look, the reason I'm laughing is because, you know, after Reform did their Doge thing when they were saying they were going to slash local councils, loads of people came out the woodwork to say there's no waste to cut, everything's been cut to the bone. You know, state services there's nothing left, all the money's been done through austerity. And yet the civil service can somehow find the money for 500 diversity officers. By the way, these are not important jobs. These jobs did not need to exist. You could get rid of the Equality Act tomorrow and none of these jobs would have to legally exist.
What sort of jobs are you talking about?
Well, I imagine it's someone that's saying you can't get a promotion because you're not the right sex or skin colour or something along those grounds.
And it might upset the person who didn't get the job and they might get anxiety and depression and be off work.
Of course, maybe a climate anxiety, you know,
which would result in them taking cocaine.
Because it's so difficult. You know, again, the civil service has enough waste on people who aren't doing these HR rubbish jobs. The fact that they're hiring for these sorts of things, you know, it's fantastic. You can't make it up. So
many good stories in the paper today. 0344 499 1000 for your voice notes and your calls. Text to 87222. We're going to a break with... ready? Tom's a cyclist. Good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Tom from Berkshire, working in Wiltshire. Commute is done. Listening to you on the radio, and just thought I'd say about the cyclists and the lanes. I am myself a cyclist. I do like getting out as much as possible, keeping fit, but I am one of those people who will get over as far left as possible so cars can pass me. I will slow down in certain areas. I'll get over and stop if it's not the most ideal, let cars pass, because I used to not be a cyclist and I remember how annoying it used to be, but I'm also slightly annoyed at the lack of cycling lanes in some areas where that would help traffic so much. just so cyclists can have especially on some of the main roads, sometimes in the mornings in the summer when I drive to work, there is absolute bedlam with cars, 50 cars stuck behind one cyclist, just because the main road's not wide enough. So if they're going to make the roads even smaller, it's just going to be even worse. Odd decision.
See, now, that's the first cyclist that I've ever liked, bar one thing. Did you notice what he said?
What?
I'd try and go as far left as possible. Talk Breakfast, good morning.
Three-letter broadcaster that's currently going through some trouble with Donald Trump,
right.
Published articles telling everyone that Crowborough was divided. Crowborough is not divided. We are a very friendly, welcoming town. We have actually got a history of welcoming legitimate refugees into this town. A government that has lost control of the asylum crisis, and they are seeking to put 600 of those people in Crowborough and allow them to wander around the town.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome, Morning Glory for Monday, 17th of November. You're waking up to the stories that dominate. The Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood today threatening a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take illegal migrants back. Hurrah! She says it's a mess, it's broken, I am going to change it. However, the left, the party, the Guardian, they're all at her already. They're calling her a racist. Absolute open warfare. We want to know whether you think it's feasible for Labour to deal with this issue. Angela Rayner, apparently, reportedly eyeing up a challenge to Keir Starmer. But Poppy Coburn from the Daily Telegraph says she's caught between a rock and a hard place. Why is that?
She ain't got the money.
She ain't got the money to pay back the 40 grand stamp duty, and she can't lend it from anybody because...
Oh, she could get in big trouble for Parliamentary Committee.
You said that with a smile on your face. The best story of the morning is the UK Health Security Agency has said that climate change and our fears about the eco situation, grief, anger, worry is making us all turn to drugs. So all the crackheads that you see on the sides of the roads or when you're walking through there, it's because they're worried it's going to rain a lot.
Oh, bless.
Another story, great story before we finish. In the Times, page 2, under-18s could vote at school in shake-up to election rules. What?
You know the Labour Party is desperate whenever they start talking about votes for 16-year-olds, don't you? I mean, that is a classic, they're in pain. You can feel it radiating off of them. I mean, what they want is to sit down there with their left-wing teachers who are going, and make sure, Timmy, that you tick that little box there that says Labour Party. Yep, I'll just do it for you. You can vote there in school. It's not going to get them out the hole, though. That's the problem, because give it a few years and those young kids who've been voting for the Labour Party will be just as pissed off as the rest of us.
Do we think, genuinely, that 16-year-olds should be able to vote?
No.
Am I being... I'd love to...
I think most 18-year-olds shouldn't be able to vote.
Can I throw that out there? At what age do you think it's feasible for somebody to vote? I don't think your average 16-year-old knows enough, or am I missing the point?
My thing is always
this is a grab
tax.
this is a grab, isn't it? This is a Labour Party grab to, if you like, get the vote from an uneducated class who are...
It's totally desperate. It's because they've seen polling that says most young people want to vote for the Labour Party, which is rubbish, by the way. They want to vote for the Greens, not Labour.
He just asked me, Christian, I'm pointing, it doesn't work on the radio, what were you like at 16? I wasn't interested in politics.
Yeah. Well, I think most normal 16-year-olds...
I don't mind outing my son at this point. He came for a day to the Reform Party conference, and he was talking and he met Nigel, and I went on stage, and when I came back, my son had disappeared. And it said, did you know this story? It's brilliant. Where is he? And this lady was helping me, said, boy, he's got into the conference centre with this girl he just met. 19. Turned out to be Farage's daughter. The whole thing went wrong, but that's true. 16? I don't know. It's too young, isn't it? Poppy Coburn, it is my absolutely I love Mondays for you coming in. Thank you so much indeed. Off to work?
Yeah, off to work now.
Deputy Editor of Content at The Telegraph, the amazing Poppy Coburn, back here next Monday. It's almost 7 o'clock. You're waking up to a Labour government that say they're going to sort the migration crisis. And if you're worried about climate, don't take any drugs. We're heading to the news at 7. Loads more to come, including we'll start the next hour with Isabel Oakeshott talks international editor.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Glory. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk, of course, the home of common sense. This is where the nation comes to talk. We're so delighted to have your involvement this morning. As ever on screen, you can see or hear me tell you, 0344 499 1000 is the only number you need. Your voice notes, your calls, are delighted to get them. 87222 on the text. You're waking up to loads of news. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, will today threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take back illegal migrants. Our new Home Secretary says the illegal migration system is broken. Just watch this. This is probably the most forceful words you would have heard from a Home Secretary for years. This is Shabana Mahmood.
This is a moral mission for me. I can see that illegal migration is creating division across our country. I can see that it is polarising communities across the country. I can see that it is dividing people and making them estranged from one another. I don't want to stand back and watch that happen in my country. What is happening with our illegal migration system is this is a broken system. It's not right-wing talking points or fake news or misinformation that is suggesting that we've got a problem. I know, because I have now seen this system inside out. It is a broken system.
Do you believe, is my question this morning, that Labour will crack down on illegal migration? I'll give you an example why. The left-wing press, The Guardian, her own backbenchers already saying this could be seen as racist. This is too strong. Is this just gaslighting, just words? I mean, Nigel Farage from Reform tweeted over the weekend, quite rightly, this sounds like a reform policy. Reform and other parties have been talking about this for months and, well, years. Are they jumping on the bandwagon? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Great story on Angela Rayner this morning. She's planning to challenge, apparently, Keir Starmer to become Labour leader and has been openly running around already offering MPs cabinet jobs. Exclusively told by Poppy Coburn not an hour ago on this show was that the problem she's got is she owes 40 grand in stamp duty and she can't afford to pay it back. She can't take a loan from anybody because you could then be, as a parliamentarian, in trouble, and she can't not pay it because she get a police caution. So our Ange in a bit of trouble. But perhaps the most wonderful story today, and one that we should all just take just a moment to consider, is on the front page of the Telegraph. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Kingdom's Health Security Agency has been paid an awful lot of money to look at why people are suffering in such a way with eco-grief. And they've come to the decision that climate change could be causing Britain's drug use. The increasing take of drugs. They say that Britain's at risk of eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief are turning to drugs as a way to deal with how scared they are about climate. And the emotions that come from worrying about net zero mean that so many of us are succumbing to crack and other drugs. Now, we've got a voice note from Boz. Again, I don't condone, wink, wink, anything that he says. Morning, Boz.
Morning, Talk. Travelling Boz here. Never mind the environment. When I look at that Starman, the front bench, that's when I really want to get him to take some gear. Absolutely depressing as hell.
Good. 0344 499 1000. Isabel Oakeshott is our international editor. A very good morning to you on this Monday. How are you?
Well, I can declare that I've never taken any drugs related to climate change anxiety, or indeed any drugs at all, actually.
I'm glad you added that little postscript there, because I've been sat here all morning. This is absolutely unreal. The UK Health Security Agency, obviously it cost several £100,000 to come up with this idea that climate change could be fueling the UK's drug use. What a load of rubbish, Isabel Oakeshott, isn't it? It's rubbish, man.
What a load of old twaddle. I do have to put a caveat into the never taken any drugs at all, because you know what will happen. Someone will scrape away at some of my old information and find that I did once try some cannabis jelly things, you know, those edible things. But here's the thing. It was in a state in America where that is legal. And I have to say it was a total disaster. I hated it and would never do it again.
I'd just like to point out that I simply asked Isabel onto the show this morning to talk about migration and policies, and if you are tuning in, she's just admitted to once having one of those jellies in America. I'm sure many people have tried that. This is big, but you're not, what you are at pains to say is you're not that scared that the ocean's going to boil all the fish that you've turned into a crack addict. That's what you're important to say, right?
I think it's it's important to confirm that that is true. Yes.
Fantastic.
No being taken.
Isabel, we love having you on. I want to talk about the main... Well, I say main, there's loads of stuff. Shabana Mahmood will today threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries that don't take back illegal migrants. Sounds fantastic. She said, illegal migration is tearing Britain apart. This matters to me. My parents were legal migrants. I've made a life. I'm proud of this country. And I want to restore order. So, in a very fair and open way, I've been saying for an hour, I haven't heard words like this from a Labour politician. In fact, I haven't heard words like this from a Home Secretary for as long as I can remember. But barely had the words left her mouth when lawyers, human rights lawyers, backbench Labour MPs promised, underlined, to torpedo her ideas because they sound racist. Isabel Oakeshott, they're not going to change any of this, are they?
Well, I think you touched on the precise point when you said, never have I, well, it's a long time since I've heard words as strong as this from a Home Secretary. The question is this anything more than words? Is it actually going to translate into any difference that people can notice? And, you know, I think we give credit where credit's due. Many of these policies sound desperately needed. They're not, in my opinion, the obvious answer to the question, which is stop the boats and come out of the ECHR, but they're definitely better sounding than nothing. But will they make any difference to how the UK feels at the moment anytime soon? The answer to that is no. Will they stop people pouring across the channel in hope of a better life? No, of course they won't. You know, perhaps at some point in the distant future, she will be able to point to some statistics that show that some of these measures have made a difference around the edges of the problem, but they are nowhere near enough to actually tackle the rot at the heart of the system. And as many have pointed out, that can only be done by leaving the ECHR. I mean, great, you know, stop countries like Namibia and Angola applying for visas to come to the UK because they won't cooperate with returns. I mean, Namibia has a population of only a few million. It's like the number of Namibian asylum seekers coming to the UK is infinitesimal compared to the other cohorts of people coming here illegally. It's absolutely at the fringes. Ditto with Angola. You know, these are not the main nationality cohorts that we get coming into the UK.
My point as well is, and Nigel Farage from Reform tweeted over the weekend, these sound like Reform policies. If I look at it from both sides, I've got Richard, your partner, on After 8 o'clock. Does this send shock waves through Reform and other parties who have talked about other ways of dealing with it? Or do we all sit back and go, well, it's just gaslighting? If you believed in dealing with it, when you came to power 16 months ago with that ridiculous slogan of we'll stop the boats, why weren't you understanding at that moment the severity of the problem? And to me, I add into the mix that I've no doubt Shabana Mahmood wants to be the next leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister of this country. And I wonder how much is about sorting out the problem or how much is about personal ambition. I don't know what you think on that.
Well, we know that this is a Home Secretary who in a previous incarnation, before she got into government, was on the beaches in, I think it was in Lesbos or somewhere like that, welcoming refugees, you know, who'd crossed the Mediterranean illegally. So fundamentally, she's not reformer at heart. She is a refugees welcome person at heart. At the same time, I don't doubt that she means it. I don't doubt that now, you know, she's had a bit of a conversion now that she's secretary, and she does want to achieve this. But the problem, her enemy is not actually Angola, Namibia, or any other country. Her enemy is right behind her on the Labour benches, and her enemy is up and down the UK, those millions of lefties who shriek, you know, hashtag be kind and we can't possibly do this. They're the enemy. There are millions of people in the UK who don't actually want to stop the boats. They actually think the boats are an okay thing. They don't want to stop illegal immigration because they think it is our duty as a country that is supposedly rich but getting poorer by the minute to actually open our arms, open our borders. And that is the problem that she's going to have.
Couldn't agree more. You used a phrase in there, and I want to jump on this because I think it's absolutely brilliant. You said refugees welcome. You will know, hopefully you as well as the listeners, that over the weekend thousands of local residents protested against plans to house 600 male asylum seekers in an army camp, this is brilliant, in East Sussex. The constituency, this is brilliant, of Rachel Millward, who is in fact the deputy leader of the Green Party. And any chance, as Poppy Coburn said, that we have to actually tell people how appalling the Green Party are is right here and now. Rachel Millward, their policy, the Green Party, is refugees are welcome, refugees are welcome. And yet this lady, this hypocrite, co-signed a letter with the council leader saying these 600 male asylum seekers are not welcome in my constituency. And when grilled by the Telegraph, Isabel Oakshott, do you know what she said? She said, and I quote, "They wouldn't be safe in leafy Sussex. That's why they can't come here." How hypocritical are the Green Party? Seriously, let's have it out. Unbelievable.
Oh my God, these people are absolutely awful, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we see this hypocrisy also when it comes to any form of housing development.
Yep.
For example, on the fringes of
NIMBYs.
green villages in the shires, which are a horrible hotbed of green voters. And those green voters, you know, they vote for open borders. They want more and more people to come into our country. But you try putting in a planning application in those areas and oh my God, no, we have to have sustainable green fields everywhere. We can't possibly have more housing. That's for someone else, you know, some other place out of my sight and nowhere near my backyard. You don't surprise me at all. These people, they simply don't maintain any kind of consistency when it comes to anything other than their own hypocrisy.
But I think it's really important to call the Green Party out. They're surging in the polls. Zach Polanski, the breast enlarger, as he used to be in another life, talks about how they care about all sorts of things. And people need to know that they would raise taxes at ridiculous levels that make what we've got normal. Crazy, crazy taxation. But the hypocrisy is absolutely astonishing. Just popping back very quickly to the Labour Party, though, Isabel, there's a great story this morning about Angela Rayner planning to challenge Keir Starmer to be leader. Apparently she's already rushing around the House of Commons, already offering MPs cabinet jobs. And Poppy gave us an absolute exclusive because she heard this from a Labour MP over the weekend. The reason she's in trouble is she can't pay back the 40 grand. She's skint. She can't lend it or borrow it, whatever you call it, because that would be, as a politician, that would go against the grain, because then you could be, you know, go and be representing the views of that person. And she can't not pay it and get a police caution, because that would mean that she couldn't stand for leader. So she's in no person's land. You know, the way to change no man's land there. How do you feel about that, though? I just thought I'd ask you.
I suppose I feel sorry for anyone that has to come up with 40 grand for HMRC. I mean, it's horrible, isn't it? It's a lot of money. You know, she did...
Not if you owe it. Not if you owe it.
Well, it's a lot of money to anybody, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but, you know.
And to try to come up with that, I mean, she's had an absolute shocker because she obviously lost her ministerial salary as well. So she's gone down to just under 100 grand, which again is still a huge amount of money relative to average national earnings. You know, you can't really cry poverty there.
No.
I'm sure she'll find a way. There will be ways and means to sort out that 40 grand bill. You know, you say that she can't have a loan. I don't think it's prohibited to have a loan as an MP. You would just have to declare where it came from. Equally, you can probably accept a gift. I don't pretend to be an expert in that, but I imagine if you declare it all, it would probably be okay.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? No shame there. It was only 8 weeks ago that she set up Wrong Move because she was basically not doing what the rest of us are forced to do, which is paying stamp duty and lying. And she's got the front to believe she could be our next Prime Minister. However, I have very bad news for you. I mean, we spoke last week, but if Starmer does go, and it won't be Wes and it won't be Shabana and it won't be Rayner, because Labour members would vote, and current voting would say by a merry mile that idiot who's now on screen, Ed Miliband, would be the next Prime Minister of this country, Isabel Oakeshott?
I mean, you know, we kind of look at things and think, can it get any worse?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it can get worse. Maybe it can get worse. I mean, oh, I don't know. I don't know what to say. He's not going to rescue our country, is he? It's.
This is the energy man who thinks that we.
I'd rather have Ange. At least she adds to the merriment of the nation. I think Ange is good value, at least journalistically. Ed's just, well, oh, look at him. He looks too tired to take the job.
No, he looks awful, man, and he believes that tripe out of his mouth. He'll read that story this morning. The UK Health Security Agency said that concerns over climate change have meant that more people are taking drugs. He'll literally, maybe, I don't want to be rude or be sued, maybe that's the way he looks like he looks. Maybe he's gurning the whole time because he's so concerned about, you know, the situation in terms of, you know, the green issues that he's bang on it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. The other story I wanted to share with you, as Reform has done so well and other parties are climbing in the polls, including the Green Party, Labour have announced that under 18s, they're desperate to get this young vote, under 18s could vote at school. Have you seen this story this morning? This is outrageous.
Vote at school? You mean as in the polling booths will be at school?
Yes, so that we make sure that 16 to 18-year-olds who probably know nothing about politics, who probably don't even know how to get to the booth, will just go somewhere in the middle of the day. I don't know. We'll have a booth that, honestly, straight up, this is in the Times today, under 18s could vote at school. It's part of a Labour plan to make sure the younger generation have their say, Isabel Oakeshott.
Well, I mean, they've been toying with this for quite a while, haven't they? And although Reform does very well among certain groups of young people, particularly teenage boys, older teenage boys,
yes,
but thinks that they've kind of got that cohort sewn up for the Labour vote. But I'm not sure this might not end up backfiring. I think you might get a load of young people also voting Green. And actually,
not if I have anything to do with it.
Well, look, if I have anything to do with it, they wouldn't be voting either Labour or Green. But that's neither here nor there. Why are we showing pictures of them all covered in masks? I'm not quite sure.
Because they're all suffering from anxiety because they're concerned about the green thing and they're worried that the air's infected because it's not climate friendly, and so they're wearing masks. I've no idea, mate. The whole thing. Couple of other stories. One actually led by your partner Richard Tice, which is really contentious, but I think really brave. I talked to Poppy about this. Page 4 of the Times. Richard Tice. Special needs in the young is increasingly over-diagnosed. Now, I said before, and I'll say again, it's one of those stories, Isabel, that creates real contention. When we were talking last week about benefits, people hear snippets and they think, I'm genuinely mentally disabled or mentally ill, they're going to take away my benefits. And I'm always at pains to say, anybody who talks about dealing with this issue, this over-diagnosis or this over-labelling, is attacking people who are basically pulling the wool over the system's eyes to the detriment of the genuine people who need the help. And that is a point we have to keep making. But we should be able to raise the argument that there are people, again, gaming the system, because we've created in this country, in my mind, an entitled and slightly lazy group of people who get away with gaming any system available. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, thank you for making that point so that I don't have to about those in genuine need. And the reality is that a lot of children are being diagnosed, in quotes, with conditions like supposed conditions like ADHD, because a diagnosis of that kind brings with it all sorts of entitlements, all sorts of benefit entitlements. I mean, kids with ADHD suddenly becoming entitled to taxis to school at public expense. Now, I don't want to speak for Richard Tice, my partner, because he's got a big press conference on this morning at 11 o'clock, but I think it'll be pretty punchy stuff. And it is based on what Reform are seeing in the councils that they run. And that is what they believe is a huge scale abuse of the system on the special needs front. And what that does is it makes it difficult for children that are really needy to get as much as they need.
Absolutely.
When you've got a load of people around the edges with parents who are basically exploiting special needs provision, and councils really struggle to push back on this because of their legal obligations. And we need to look at how can we actually change those legal obligations so councils aren't using desperately needed taxpayers' money to prop up the lifestyles of lazy parents.
And I think it's really important that we make the point, as I did, that there are, because people will panic. But just, you have to scratch beneath the surface and understand that genuine people are missing out. Isabel, always a pleasure. So good to have you on. And I love the opening. We knew you took a gummy, but your honesty is refreshing. Thank you so much indeed. The amazing Isabel Oakeshott talks international editor 723. This is interesting. Joanna from Salisbury, when we were at school, we had to sit down, shut up and learn. My high-functioning autistic granddaughter has to go in another room with kids on detention to work because the class is so noisy she can't concentrate. Now she has all her friendship group from the excluded class. We don't seem to care about genuine people. Holly, good morning. Jez, I have cerebral palsy. I'm 37. I work full-time as an editor and I still have a bit of a social life. In a decade's time, I reckon we'll see people trying to get undiagnosed because, trust me, having the benefits doesn't make it worthwhile. Loads of people getting involved. That story about the 16-year-olds being allowed to vote at school, is this person really called Lash? What happens to Lash when he's on the lash? Anyway, morning, Lash. Morning, Lash. Oh, we haven't got it. Lash has been drinking so much on the lash that we've not able to record his voice note. Oh, apparently, we have got it. Play it.
Theo is here, my son, who's 17. And I asked him this morning, would he be ready to vote? And what was his answer?
No.
So I don't think we should do it.
Three-letter broadcaster that's currently going through some trouble with Donald Trump,
right.
Published articles telling everyone that Crowborough was divided. Crowborough is not divided. We are a very friendly, welcoming town. We have actually got a history of welcoming legitimate refugees into this town. A government that has lost control of the asylum crisis, and they are seeking to put 600 of those people in Crowborough and allow them to wander around the town.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. Talk is on, the home, of course, of common sense. Now, listen, loads of people talking at the moment about the BBC and how biased they are and the problems with Trump. I think today there's pressure on Starmer to talk Trump out of that $5 billion BBC lawsuit. We'll talk more about that throughout the show. One of the great things about Talk is the Talk app, and I meant to say this to you about 20 minutes ago. The Talk app, right, is fantastic. You need to download, it's on the screen right now, download it before December the 1st. It means you can watch, you can listen as you go about your daily business on the bus and obviously the car. When you've got a moment, you can watch it, you can download it, you can listen to it. It just makes the whole thing so much easier. Now is the time to do it. Please do it. Download that Talk app, and you can see I mean, obviously you don't want to see pictures of me, but you can see pictures of the talent on display. The Queen of Westminster, Julia Hartley-Brewer, Ian Collins in the afternoon, all of those wonderful. But Mrs. Kyle's downloaded the app simply so she can look at pictures of Ian Collins and drool. Drool, ladies and gentlemen. She drools over Collins. But listen, download the app. It's fantastic, and it will give you all the information you need about the home of common sense. 0344 499 1000. Shabana Mahmood is apparently going to change the whole problem with illegal migration. Strong words over the weekend, and she says, I'm the person to do it. The cynics already lined up, though. The Guardian's attacked her, own MP's attack her. What do you make of it, Shawnee?
Good morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby. I'm a bit confused this morning when I woke up and I heard Shabana Mahmood's new immigration policies. Just a couple of months ago, anybody who said anything like this was a far-right bigot. So are we still far-right bigots? Or is Mahmood now a far-right bigot? Or is everybody a far-right bigot? Or are none of us far-right bigots? I'm a bit confused, mate. I don't know if I'm a bigot or not anymore. Because it seems to be if the left say it, then you're not a bigot. If we say it, we are. So, yeah, maybe you can help. Great show, mate.
Are you? I don't even know what a bigot is, but that's great. It's true, isn't it? It's absolutely true. The Labour Party were calling anybody who talked about dealing with the migration problems as a far-right bigot. When you think back to those Southport riots, it's exactly what was happening. He's spot on. Your thoughts on this, please? 0344 499 1000. There's another great story in the paper today, which I'm trying to keep calm about, but it's definitely got you lot going. In the latest war on motorists, Britain's roads are to be made narrower. We're not filling in the potholes. That would be ludicrous. We're just going to make them narrower so that drivers can't overtake those poor cyclists who have it so hard. I mean, let's be honest, they don't have it. They don't pay road tax, they don't have insurance, and they shave their legs. Phil says, I just had to do a driver awareness course for passing too close to a cyclist on the road who was not using the cycle lane that was right next to him. Good, innit? No, it's absolutely disgraceful. Dean's in Ealing. This is ridiculous. We have a massive productivity problem with every lunatic traffic scream. We're shutting down roads. We are killing our economy. Everyone out there, especially in London, is working at 60% at best. I used to make 8 to 10 calls. I now make 5 if I'm lucky because I can't bloody well get anywhere because the roads are full of cyclists. True. Let's leave that a minute. Oh, no. The cyclist madness is losing road space for businesses to operate. This means businesses can't get around to deliver to shops and pubs, and therefore costs will be passed to the... Absolutely could not agree more. Hello to Nick in Loughborough, famous for the best college to do with sport in the land. Jez, if cyclists want road modification solely for their bloody benefit, then let them pay for it via a specific bike road tax. Currently they pay nothing. That would be great. God, if I was anything to do with that, that'd be fantastic. A bike tax. That'd stop you all, wouldn't it? Yeah. So the loony left, says Sean, are trying to force people out of their cars again by taking away road space and driving at the pace of militant cyclists. If they succeed, what replaces all the revenue generated by motoring? Quite right, fuel duty, road tax, VAT, insurance tax and everything else. But it'll be OK, all right? Because what will happen is cyclists, it's good for the environment, isn't it? That's right, yeah. Hello to William in North Yorkshire. I love to drive slowly behind a spandex cyclist until they frantically wave at me to pass. It's a great sport and it really helps me get through the morning. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. You don't like cyclists, you look, do you? I love you all. 7:32. We'll say a very good morning to my next guest. Lucy White is a public policy specialist. That sounds very, very impressive, Lucy White. Good morning. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Currently in the United States of America, but doing very well. Thank you.
You love England so much. You're in the United States. How is that mad place? Because over here, of course, we've got the story this morning that Starmer is under pressure to talk Trump out of a $5 billion BBC lawsuit. Is it on the news over there or not?
It's actually not mainstream, no, but I'm meeting with some of the GB News chaps, Ben Leo, this week, GB News, so we'll get to the truth of that quite shortly.
Very interesting. I wanted your view, please, because we've woken up today to a Home Secretary who's finally announced, Shabana Mahmood, that illegal migration is tearing Britain apart. Everything's going to be fine because she, who is the daughter of legal migrants from the late 70s, early 80s, has said it is my mission to do something about it. Sod this, let's smash the gangs. What matters is stopping this dreadful, dreadful situation getting any worse. She says it's tearing Britons apart. She hadn't actually got the words out of her mouth when The Guardian went for her, and most of her backbench MPs are now coming out quite openly saying this is fundamentally racist. And as that last caller said to me, which is quite interesting, I thought that dealing with this made you a right-wing bigot, but apparently now the Labour Home Secretary is coming out with the same language.
Well, precisely. What I think is very interesting, Jeremy, is if you look at the data, the number one country with asylum claims into the United Kingdom is actually Pakistan, and Shabana Mahmood is from Pakistan. So I think the first thing she should address is the fact that her own people from Pakistan are the number one country claiming asylum into the United Kingdom. And yet instead, I'm going to break this down for us. So instead, she targets 3 countries, which is 1, Angola, 2, Namibia, and 3, Democratic Republic of Congo. So I can tell you, Jeremy, neither of those 3 countries are British colonies and are not part of the Commonwealth. So Angola is a Portuguese colony. The DRC is, of course, from Belgium, and Namibia is German. So she's targeting countries which are not part of the Commonwealth because she thinks that's an escape. So she's essentially saying that if you're an illegal migrant from the Commonwealth, we're going to be more lenient with you, which is just absurd. And I can tell you, I was in Democratic Republic of Congo this year working on critical minerals. The DRC is not a country that you want to sort of ban business people from because all of our phones, laptops and technology functions from cobalt from the DRC. So yes, of course, illegal migration from the DRC is problematic, but it's not going to be the number one hit list you put. It's actually Pakistan, where she is from, or Afghanistan.
I think what's interesting I think what's really interesting though, and I do think this is important. She's been very, very vocal about how she's going to restore it. For me and for many people listening today, it's pure gaslighting. As I said to you, they've made a big push to call anybody up to a year ago that wanted to even look or even talk about the issues of illegal migration to be a racist or be a bigot or to be... And now all of a sudden the Labour Party are adopting the same policies. And you just sit here and you think, my God, do you mean it? You know, that smashing the boat 16 months ago was the most ludicrous line ever. Why did they not 16 months ago saying Britain is broken, the migration situation, allowing unvetted men into our country, is fundamentally wrong? No, they didn't say that because it didn't sit with them. But now, with their backs against the wall, which is why so many people won't believe this they won't, because they'll just say, are they saying this? I'll give you another example today. You're in the States. Over the weekend, there's an East Sussex place called Crowborough. It's a leafy constituency. Yep. Thousands of local residents protested yesterday against the fact that there's the footage. 600 male asylum seekers were going to be put in an army camp in East Sussex in Crowborough, right? Locals come out, up in arms, and the local MP, I'm doing it again. I know you've got a green jacket on, but I'm going for the Green Party this morning. Rachel Millward is the deputy leader of the Green Party, whose slogan is "Refugees Welcome." She co-signed a letter in her constituency saying, I don't want them there. And when challenged by Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph, because we had her on already, she said, they wouldn't be safe in my constituency. Hypocrites. They're all the same, these people. They use it now because they realise the British people want to talk about immigration, but can they see it through? Rachel Millward can't. I don't believe Shabana Mahmood. That's just my opinion.
I completely agree with you, Jeremy. I think it's all sort of talking points for them. We've seen gimmick after gimmick. We've seen the one in, one out policy with France, which failed because 2 illegal migrants returned on that one in, one out policy. What Shabana Mahmood is talking about is simply another gimmick. We've heard her talking about copying Denmark, looking to Denmark for ideas. We've seen X, Y, and Z. But the solution, Jeremy, is very simple. We need remigration, we need to detain them and deport them upon arrival. It's very simple. If you put these illegal migrants into a tent in the winter and you say, would you like to be deported now? Do you want to go home? When it gets cold enough and the conditions are severe enough and hostile enough, they will eventually self-deport. And that's what we need to do, is we need to encourage an environment where they self-deport. We cannot be having hotels and freebies and food, etc., handed to them on a platter. And what I advocate for is that what we are saying is simply a return to normality. What we are saying is not radical. This current situation is radical. As you mentioned, with these 600 male illegal migrants in one small area, that is radical. What the locals want is a return to normality. And so by having a return to normality, we cannot be saying, as Shabana Mahmood does, oh, we're going to increase it, to 20 years for settlement, etc. No, the solution is detain and deport. And anyone that entered here legally but is also now illegal should be removed. And as we know, the elephant in the room, it's not even the illegal migrants, it's the legal ones. Because if you go back to 2023, you have on average, around 40,000 illegal migrants on small boats entering per year. But legal ones, there were 1.2 million.
Couldn't agree more.
In a single year.
Lucy, I don't mean to be rude. I have to move, but I'm so grateful. Whereabouts in the States are you?
Philadelphia. That's why I'm in green. We had these Eagles. I don't know. I was forced to go to some Eagles NFL game, and I'll be back in the UK this weekend. So Washington, D.C. tomorrow. See the GB News team and fly back.
Good girl. Thank you very much indeed for being on. Really appreciate it. Lucy White, Public Policy Specialist. What is it? 21 minutes to 8 o'clock. There is a story in the papers. Oh, good morning to Rob. He says, both me and my daughter Chloe are obviously far-right lunatics because we've got a St George's flag next to our car because we, strangely enough, believe that the people of this country should come first before people who come to our country illegally, who seem to get treated better. There's a story doing the rounds today that under 18s under Labour plans could be allowed to vote at school. I respectfully suggest that maybe, do under 18s, Chloe, I'm talking to you, do you know much about politics? Morning, JK, this is Cliff in Berkshire. I would think the under 18s would be more likely to vote Green as they've been indoctrinated by the BS. Joe's in Shrewsbury, or is it Shrewsbury? Do I care? Jez, regarding votes for school kids, under 18s can't decide whether they're male, female, animal, vegetable or bloody mineral, let alone which political party is the best one to lead this country to greatness or otherwise. Absolutely insane. Desperation for votes. Joe in Shrewsbury, I love you. But we'll go to the news. This is not the news, and it's brilliant. Jez, my 16 and 17-year-olds would vote for Sonic the Hedgehog or Super Mario, the mother of two idiots. Morning, Jane.
Morning, JK. Speaking about the special needs, I also want to point out that I see more and more parents wanting these perfect children, and if they're not perfect, they have to have something wrong with them. They can't be individuals anymore. They can't be shy. They can't be boisterous. It's got to be a label, and this is the problem that we've got.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Talk. Morning Glory is on. What is it? Monday the 17th of November. This is JK. You're waking up to the news that our Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is talking, well, very strongly today. She's going to threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take back illegal migrants. She says it's time to right the problems that are basically destroying Britain, breaking Britain, which is really weird because 16 months ago, her party, if you mentioned this, you were called a far-right bigot. She's been slagged already, great word, Jez, by The Guardian and by a lot of left-wing MPs who say it's fervently racist. Meanwhile, Angela Rayner, backstage, is apparently trying to run for Labour leader. She's promising in the Commons corridors MPs already cabinet jobs as she tries to topple Sir Keir Starmer. Her problem, as we talked earlier, is she owes 40 grand in stamp duty and can't raise the money. But my favourite story of the morning, I don't care whether people don't agree, the UK Health Security Agency has said that climate change and our worries, our eco-grief, our eco-anger, our eco-fear means we're all turning to crack. Basically, if you are concerned about the eco problems in this country, Britain's drug use is going through the ceiling because we're all so upset. Pete the Mole, I've no idea. I can't believe Richard III, Rachel Reeves, has overlooked the easiest grab tax in the years. Make all cyclists pay road tax, have insurance and unremovable trackers in their stupid bike frames so they can be fined when they break the law and ride away from a situation. Easy solution to the budget. There you are. This story that roads are going to be made narrower to stop drivers from overtaking bloody cyclists. That's your answer. Tax the cyclists. That'll deal with the black hole, won't it? Andrew Allison, head of campaigns. God, everybody's head of something this morning. Popular conservatism. Morning, Mr. Allison.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you this morning?
I'm all right. There's a spring in my step and my hat is at a jaunty angle. Can I just ask you, are you worried about climate change? Are you on a hardcore drug as a result of that, or are you OK?
The answer is a simple no to that one.
What, you're not on drugs, or you're not worried about the...
I'm not that particularly worried about climate change, and I'm not on drugs.
Excellent. Well done, you weirdo. Listen, welcome to the show. I wanted to talk to you briefly. We've talked about the migrant situation with Shabana Mahmood. I'm just going to canvass your opinion very quickly on several things. She says the illegal migration system is broken. She says, and let's be honest, the strongest words I've heard from a Home Secretary for a long, long time. Is it just gaslighting? Because 16 months ago you were a right-wing bigot if you talked about deporting people, weren't you?
I think the Shabana Mahmood is looking at the opinion polls and looking where Labour is at the moment, is probably trying to find a way out of it. So I imagine it's political opportunism rather than something that she actually believes in, Jeremy. But of course, the human rights lawyers will be all over this. And unless we leave the ECHR, then nothing's going to change. And the Labour Party in government is not going to pull us out of the ECHR. So I think they're just words. And I don't think they should be able to put any of this into action.
Did you hear me attacking the Green Party? I have to do this every 10 minutes because it's brilliant. You'll have read the story about 600 male asylum seekers due to be housed in an army camp in East Sussex, in Crowborough, actually. And the residents took to the streets over the weekend, very concerned for their local community, justifiably. There's the pictures. The constituency belongs to Rachel Millward, Deputy Leader of the Green Party, whose slogan is, "We welcome refugees." But you'll be shocked to hear this, Andrew. She co-signed a letter with the head of the local council saying, I am concerned about it, but not here. They wouldn't be safe in East Sussex. Hello?
Well, I only thought that NIMBYs referred to planning and how new housing development. Apparently, it applies to refugees as well, isn't it? Refugees welcome here, but you won't be safe in this constituency, so go and find somewhere else. Thank you.
It's just, is it not the most hypocritical? I think
the Green Party. But what do you expect from the Green Party?
I think it's really important that the Green Party is held to account. As Poppy Coburn said earlier, they moan all the time. We don't get the airtime of reform. Well, come on. I'll get that Zach Polanski, the breast enlarger, as I call him. I don't have a problem, but people need to know that the Green Party would raise your taxes to about 70% and that there is real hypocrisy and there isn't much...
Party. Yeah, I mean, look, the Green Party is doing very well in the opinion polls now, and I can see them doing, quite well at the next general election if they continue like this. So yes, of course they should be held to account. They should be held to account the same way that Reform is, the Liberal Democrats are, Labour Conservatives.
Absolutely. pressure on the Prime Minister, lots, but today to call Donald Trump and talk him out of a $5 billion BBC lawsuit. This is the doctored speech that was on Panorama. There's something else about Newsnight as well. I know they wrote an apology on Friday when I wasn't on air, but Trump says it doesn't go far enough. Is this just him playing politics, or is the BBC really in trouble, Andrew?
Well, the BBC's in trouble with it lurches from one crisis to another. And for all those people who turn around and say that this was just an error, a mistake, nothing deliberate, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. I mean, this was a deliberate editorial decision, and they decided to falsify what President Trump said. So therefore, they're absolutely, President Trump is absolutely right to be angry about this. What I don't really want to see, though, Jeremy, is the Prime Minister get involved at all. It's got nothing to do with the Prime Minister. This is a dispute between the British Broadcasting Corporation and President Donald Trump. We all know how the BBC is funded, and therefore, if President Trump receives a rather large payout in compensation, then of course licence fee payers are on hook, and they will have to pay for that. But that is the BBC's fault. So the Prime Minister can condemn the BBC if he wants to. I think he said that the BBC should get its house in order.
That's all he ever said. But that's all he ever says. He never says anything effectual. He just says, "Oh, I agree with that," or "I disagree with this," or "I think that should happen." I never ever see any leadership.
That's a rather strong statement from Keir Starmer, isn't it, Jeremy? I mean, he doesn't say very much at all unless he's accusing people of being right-wing bigots.
It's true. It's true. Are you of the belief that he'll be a goner soon?
Yeah, I actually put on X at the weekend that, because he celebrated his 500th day, I think, as Prime Minister. I can't see him making his 2-year anniversary.
Really?
I think well, let's get the elections out of the way next May. The Conservative Party is going to be in deep trouble. The Labour Party is going to be in deep trouble. I think we're going to see parties like the Green Party and, of course, Reform surging ahead in the polls and doing rather well. And then, of course, you've got a load of backbench MPs, be them Labour, be they Conservative, all in panic mode, wondering what's going to happen at the next general election and if they're going to be wiped out. And it's pretty obvious that Keir Starmer is not popular amongst his own MPs.
Really interesting. Great to have you on, my friend. Always a pleasure. Come back soon. Andrew Allison, thank you. Head of campaigns at Popular Conservatism. Loads of you responding to all the stories. There's one after 8 o'clock this morning. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform. He's holding a press conference this morning. We're going to get the exclusive page 4 of the Daily Telegraph. He says special needs in many youngsters is overdiagnosed. This is part of that debate, right, which frightens people, which is we have a system that aims to help people, and I stand by that system forever, but it's being abused. And genuine people who are mentally ill or disabled are missing out because lots of people are gaming the system. And, of course, whenever you say that, people take snippets from the radio telly and go, oh, you want to stop. No, they don't. Have a listen out for Richard Tice after 8 o'clock. I hope that would explain Reform's situation in good detail. Talking special needs, Fran, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. Fran in Belfast here. Jeremy, my son he's 10. He was diagnosed with ADHD in June. And we're not going to claim any disability, anything, because we don't need it. But what we did need was we needed some medication to help him manage his symptoms. And it has been an absolute godsend. So it has. He's concentrating better at school. The teacher has said to me the past 2 weeks, the ability to be able to concentrate has just been incredible. But I'm not going to go on the website now and start claiming a load of disability benefits because we don't need it. But we did need some medication for him to help the child get through school. So there are people out there that just, realise that their child has ADHD, but just need some more support medication-wise. And I'm sat here at work right now, going to work all day. My husband's at work. My 2 kids are at school. We're not gaming the system. So there are people out there that are just doing the right thing by their kids. Thanks, bye.
In terms of your question around taxes, there are no additional tax rises needed beyond the ones that I've set out.
Don't need to increase taxes. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes.
I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax.
We don't need to come back for more. We've done that now. We've wiped the slate clean.
The economic circumstances have declined, deteriorated since a year ago. We are having to look at taxes and spending.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Morning Glory on Talk, the home of common sense. You're waking up to loads of great stories today. What's really got you is the story that the, roads are to be narrowed. As we continue with the government's war on motorists, we're going to narrow the roads so that the cyclists can't be overtaken. I think that's absolutely outrageous. You're hating the fact that the Labour Party's so desperate for votes are thinking it will be a good idea to allow kids to vote at school, because they'll be 16 and they probably won't know how to get to the polling booth. We'd love your thoughts on that. And my favourite story of the morning, it can't go away, is the UK Health Security Agency has said that climate change could be fueling Britain's drug use. People's fear of the eco-disaster that's coming our way has meant that many have turned to crack, cocaine and other strong drugs. Morning to Simon in Eastbourne, who says, I had dreadful, dreadful climate anxiety, Jez, and was heading for a life on Class A drugs. My life was looking in real turmoil, and then suddenly one day I woke up and I bought an umbrella and a pair of sunglasses, and strangely my anxiety has completely disappeared. Love it. 528. You might have heard me talk earlier about this particular river. I think it's the river Cherwell between the A34 and it's basically in Oxfordshire. There's been some terrible, terrible footage. You might see it on screen there, put out and about on social media at the weekend. I mean, sort of 2 or 3 foot high instead of the water, of just the most awful rubbish and refuge and plastic. And, you know, the state of this country, we're worried about, you know, people being anxious about the climate, and we're doing that to our rivers. Very quickly, Amy Fairman is head of campaigns at River Action. Amy, good morning. I wanted to get this on the show. This is an absolute national disgrace. We spend our times talking about things that I think are irrelevant, and then you get that in our countryside. Disgusting.
Yeah, it's really, really terrible, isn't it, Jeremy? I mean, this is a mountain of waste. It's 10 metres high, 15 metres wide, and 60 metres long. Imagine you're running your sports day and you run that 100 metre
500 feet
track.
long, this, isn't it? It's just plastic and foam and wood. It's horrible.
It's absolutely huge, and this is the work of essentially organised waste crime. You know, coming in and it's, the local residents in the area have spotted this springing up over the last few months, and this is truckloads of waste that's being dumped right next to the river, as you said, the River Cherwell. It's just feet away, the end of this illegal waste site, and all of this material, you know, with the rain that we're seeing and the wind, is simply just washing into the river there. It's pretty shocking.
When you look at that from River Action, you know how much sewage is being pumped into our rivers, and how, and I'm quite big on the countryside. There's lots of things people say I'm not big on, but I am, and I just think we are slowly eroding so much of our countryside. Don't get me on what the farmers are going through with the Labour Party, but that's just disgraceful, and I get so wound up when I see stuff like that, and then I sit here on this show and we talk about, the anxiety of a 16-year-old because of the climate. What a load. That's important. What's on screen, isn't it?
Yeah, and we really need to tackle these issues front on, and we need to see the people who have committed this crime. It is a crime, held to account, and we need to see the authorities, the local authority and the regulator, the Environment Agency, act really quickly to find the perpetrators, to hold them to account, and essentially clear up this site, this waste site. And this isn't an isolated incident. We're seeing fly tipping and organised crime like this not just in the River Cherwell, but all over the country. And we need to see the regulator have the resources, empowered from the government, to investigate on the ground and hold those people to account and clear up this mess.
I don't understand, just very briefly, and I wish we had more time, why this would not be a concern for local authorities or for central government, because it's a stain on our society, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and we need to see the government take action in their upcoming white paper that they're going to be producing, where they're reforming the regulators. They're going to be bringing Ofwat and the Environment Agency together as a super regulator, and we need to see them have the resources and the funding to actually clear up these kinds of incidents and investigate them. We've seen that a regulator have its funding cut by up to 70% over the last 10 years, and we need to see that reversed.
Amy, I know it was quick, but so important to do the story. Head of campaigns at River Action, Amy Fairman, thank you very much indeed. Right, it's almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the UK. The news, and then Richard Tice.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Where you been? It's just gone 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom on the home of common sense. This is where the nation comes to talk. You would talk. Thank you for tuning in. By the way, however you listen, we've made it a lot easier. You can download that new Talk app right now. On your screens, you will see it. Do it before December the 1st, and you can take us wherever you want to go. I don't care. The carsy, sit in the back of the car, getting on the tube. You can watch, you can listen. Download the Talk app. Do it right now. So much in the news that you're waking up to. The Labour Party have decided via their new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, that suddenly immigration is, what are the words? Tearing this country apart, and we need to be stronger and firmer and deport people. And that's all very good and lovely and very strong. But the cynics already lined up, the human rights lawyers, the Labour Party MPs and The Guardian, amongst other people, saying she's a racist. This is Shabana Mahmood. That was the start of my day. We're going to call out again the hypocrisy of the Greens. Rachel Millward is the deputy leader of the Green Party. Their slogan is, refugees are welcome, refugees are welcome. But not in her constituency of Crowborough, ladies and gentlemen, where yesterday thousands of residents protested against 600 male asylum seekers, unvetted, being put in an army barracks. She co-signed a letter with the head of the council going, they're not welcome. The reason they're not welcome is, they would be unsafe in leafy Sussex, which is interesting. My favourite story of the morning is that the UK Health Security Agency has said that climate change and all of us going about our daily lives are concerned about what's going to happen, that the sea's going to boil and the fish are all going to die. We're full of eco-fear and eco-anger and eco-grief. And as a result of that, we're all taking hardcore drugs. On top of which, the Labour Party wants young kids of age 16 to have the vote. Morning, Jez. Voting rights should be granted once people have ended education, have had a job and paid tax for a minimum of a year. There's nothing like seeing your hard-earned money squandered to focus the bleeding mind. Sean says, instead of giving 16-year-olds the vote, how about only letting taxpayers vote? This is you see, this is the point. This is what people absolutely believe. 0344 499 1000. We say a very good morning to a man who's got so much to answer for. Well, only because of what's in the news. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform. How are you?
I'm well. I'm anxious like many, but that's not because of eco concerns. It's because I'm being grilled by you, Jeremy.
Well, a bloke earlier said he was terribly devastated about the climate situation in this country, and he was very, very anxious and looking like he was going to spend a lifetime on Class A drugs, and then bought some sunglasses and an umbrella, and the anxiety's gone. On a serious note, Richard, some of the stuff that's coming out, you'd end up thinking we haven't got major issues. Let's start with the major issue that we do face as a country, which is the immigration crisis. I was given a tracker earlier. Since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister, we're fast approaching 63,000 have come into this country, and in this year alone, nearly 39,000 people. I'm confused because today the Home Secretary is due, Richard, to threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries, just 3 of them, who don't take back illegal migrants. And she says that this issue is tearing Britain apart. Now, forgive me, I thought that 16 months ago, when anybody else dared to talk about illegal migration, they were deemed as far-right bigots.
No.
No, is that not right?
No, Jeremy, just 2 months ago.
Oh, 2 months. Sorry, there you go. Yes.
When Reform announced policies that were milder than Shabana Mahmood is confirming today in the House of Commons, we were deemed racist and bigots. But now the current Home Secretary can announce it, and apparently that's all fine. The pure hypocrisy of this desperate Starmer regime in its bunker in number 10 just beggars belief. It really does. But I think maybe Shabana Mahmood maybe she's actually now in the wrong party. Maybe she needs to cross the floor and do the right thing, because she talks a good game, but you can't deliver any of this stuff whilst you're still in the European Convention of Human Rights and while you're subject to the Human Rights Act. And that's why we say you've got to get rid of both of them.
Would you have her cross the floor then? You brought it up, not me. If Shabana Mahmood stood up today and said, I don't actually want the leadership of the Labour Party, I think you lot are completely deranged. I believe that Nigel Farage is the future. Would you welcome Shabana Mahmood across the floor, Richard Tice?
Well, you've got to make sure that people believe in your principles and values. But look, she's talking a good game.
Yep.
The question is, can she actually deliver it?
No.
With hundreds of MPs behind her who are already rebelling. And people are sick and tired of hearing all the talk and no action and all waffle.
It's interesting, actually, to get that view from you, because I think one of the first things when I read it at the weekend was, is this gaslighting? Is this genuine? Is it a leadership pitch? And what does it do for those parties who have talked to be strong on immigration, like Reform, for the last few months? It doesn't stop there. That was Shabana Mahmood. I'd like your view of somebody who's really annoyed me this morning, and I'm going to do this every link. Rachel Millward is a massive hypocrite in the Green Party. This story in Crowborough in her constituency in East Sussex, Richard. Yesterday, local residents protesting in their thousands at the thought of 600 male asylum seekers in an army camp. She says refugees are welcome. But not in my constituency because they're not safe in leafy Sussex, Richard Tye. She's a hypocrite, isn't she?
Crowborough is a delightful part of England. It is leafy, and it's probably one of the safest parts of the country. So if they're not safe there, Rachel, where are they safe? The reality is that she is just one massive, humongous hypocrite. But what do you expect from the Greens? I mean, they're the same people who are responsible for some of these net stupid zero policies that are destroying tens of thousands of jobs, and yet they stand up in the House of Commons and say their thoughts are with the jobs that they've just destroyed and the families whose incomes they've utterly ruined. I mean, they're just hypocrites from literally from the top of their head to their toenails.
I think it's really important that people realise what the Green Party is about. I know I joke about Zach Balansky, but I think it's really important that politicians of other parties, as the Green Party increases in popularity. And one of my daughters said, oh, I'll vote Green because they care about the environment. No, anybody that's on about more than £5 a year is going to be charged 70% tax. It'll make this tax rate look like it's absolutely nothing. And they're very virtuous, are they not? But actually to see it through is a different game. That would be my opinion as a 60-year-old who's quite cynical.
Well, I mean, how can anybody listen to, frankly, a party that's led by a hypnotist who thinks that women can have a penis? I mean, the whole thing's just farcical. It's almost a sign that people have given up with proper politics in the UK. They're so furious about how badly we have been governed and misled over the last 15 years.
10 past 8. The main reason I wanted to talk to you this morning is it's a really interesting article. I know that you've done an article today, and there's a press conference at 11. Richard Tye, special needs in young is increasingly over-diagnosed. And I just wanted to say as a caveat to you, I talked last week about how the benefits bill has gone through the roof and how the government didn't have the gonads to get any sort of reductions through. That even here, the minute you have that discussion, people will come out and say, but I am genuinely disabled, I am genuinely mentally ill, I might have only heard a snippet, but are Reform or whoever going to take away my benefits? And I think it's really important in terms of this story, because I completely agree with you over this over-labelling, that we make the point always that those genuine people will continue to not only get their benefits, but are in danger of losing them because so many people are gaming the system, Richard.
Well, that's the critical point, which is that those most genuinely in need, whether it's welfare, but in this situation, young children with real disabilities, and I've got personal experience from a dear friend who had 2 children in wheelchairs, and I saw the struggles they had to try and get the appropriate provision, which was obviously required, but they couldn't because councils were so stretched by having to provide, by statute, provisions for many other youngsters who actually, they just didn't need what was being sort of required. And there is if you just look at the harsh numbers are that the numbers of children with educational health and care plans has trebled in the last 8 years. Trebled. And it's increasing every year by almost 10% a year. Let's be honest. Our children are not 10% more in need every single year. What is going on is that there is a level of overdiagnosis, and I've been specifically asked to say this by heads of councils and council officers who dare not say this, who cannot say this for fear of losing their jobs. They want me to say the difficult stuff. I'll take the abuse, that's fine. But the overdiagnosis in neurodiverse issues, whether it's dyspraxia, dyslexia, ADHD, and many other names, this labelling of children is making children feel wrong, odd, bad. You've got the farcical situation now, Jeremy, where supposedly, in inverted commas, normal children are feeling that they're the odd ones out. They're in the minority. They're taking the mickey out of themselves, and everybody else saying, what about me? I mean, it is madness. And the tragedy of all of this is that outcomes are getting worse for all children in the last decade, in particular, those most genuinely in need. So what we should stop doing is stop wasting money, billions of pounds. There's 10 billion quid a year now being spent in SEND, special educational needs and disabilities. And that's not to mention all of the cost of the taxes and the like. And here's the thing, if you don't understand something, follow the money. And there's a great deal of money in all of this. The taxi firms are making off like bandits. Also, you've got lots of therapists and educational psychologists. They're writing so many reviews and assessments. I mean, literally, they're spending less time on actually providing the treatment, the intervention, and the support.
Let me read you something.
They get paid more to write the reviews and assessments.
Good morning, good morning, Jeremy and Richard. Special needs kids. It took me 10 years to have my daughter referred for autism. It took relocating from Durham to North Yorkshire. My daughter was then diagnosed with ADHD, and after that she had other issues of mental health, but she's now thriving since being placed in an educational situation that is suitable to her needs. But still, she has a long way to go. She had horrendous bullying in mainstream school, but we're getting there. I think if people were assessed, diagnosed and supported correctly, there will be less people out of work and on disability benefits. And I think that, Richard, is the point, because what will happen, it always happens, is people will go, oh my God, this party reform or that party are going to take away the benefits. No, the people like that girl, that lady's daughter, it took longer for them to get the help she undoubtedly needed because of a system. And I don't care, I'll take the abuse like you. I think we're obsessed with labels. I think most people, if you sent them to see anybody, would be on some sort of spectrum. I like the lines on my lawn to be straight. My wife says I'm barking mad. She says I've got ADHD every day, every single day, right? The truth of the matter is, are we helping those who deserve to be helped to the detriment of others? I just don't think we're getting it right, and I think it's a really brave article, because I do think it also shines a light on the fact that there are plenty of people who have a hard start in life who aren't going to fall into that trap or take this or take that, but are going to knuckle down and make something. And I think that's a really important message as well.
And look, this is difficult, and you know, I hear that example, and there are so many examples where the most needy are missing out because the system is overloaded. Frankly, councils shouldn't be getting involved in this. The real experts, and I've spoken to many in recent weeks, they all say that actually if you went back to the system pre the 2014 Act, where the responsibility lies with the professionals in the mainstream schools, we'd be in a much better place. And the money that's allocated would be spent much wiser, targeting those most genuinely in need. And I'm afraid to say that some of the examples of abuse are just bonkers, because, of course, if you get an EHCP, then for the middle-class parents who send their children to independent school, that means you don't get VAT on your school fees.
Yep.
So they're employing solicitors, right, to get their EHCP. Other people, if you get the EHCP, you get PIP, which means you get a motability car, right, and all the benefits that gives. And yet you've got people with a motability car who are still demanding a taxi to come and pick up their little child and take them to school because they can't be bothered to take their own child to school. But we all know that one of the best things for your children is for you to take them to school.
Absolutely.
And not rely on some taxi.
Mate, couldn't agree more. And I think just read it if you get a chance, peeps. Page 4 of the Daily Telegraph, and Richard's got a press conference at 11 this morning. Something else you tweeted about over the weekend. It's never my favourite subject. It's another that needs highlighting. I'll have Julia in here. Government withholding data that may link COVID jab to excess deaths. Tell me more.
So there's a government quango called the UK Health and Security Agency that is refusing to release data about how and why people are dying since COVID, because they're concerned that possible excess deaths may possibly, I say may possibly, be linked to the COVID vaccine. And they're concerned that if they release the data, it might cause upset to certain people. So essentially what they're saying is, we're not going to let the nation know how and why people are dying, in case it might upset them. Well, that actually is not a responsible society. However difficult, however uncomfortable it may be, we deserve the data, we deserve the information. This is really, really important.
Couldn't agree more. Now, on a light-hearted note, there you are, felt like, young, hair swept back, works out every day. Do you cycle, Richard Tice?
I do, actually. It's the fastest way to get around central London. And I'll be I'll be completely honest, I do it without a helmet, so I can feel the wind blowing through my hair.
Hold on a minute. Tell me you don't wear lycra and shave your legs. I hate cyclists. They do my bleeding head in. Tell me, because I'm going to put some into you. Tell me you don't wear lycra, Richard Tice.
No, I'm in my suit, heading to work.
And I don't disbelieve that. Hair flapping, tie over the shoulder. But here's the thing. This is. I think it's a real attack on motorists, and I think it's something that, I mean, it's really been picked up this morning. Britain's roads have been made narrower to stop drivers from overtaking cyclists. Yes, you did hear that correctly. This sends motorists, 17 million of us, through the bleeding roof, Richard. Cyclists don't pay tax, they don't pay insurance, they get, look, and they go through red lights, which drive us mad. Of all the stories this morning, this is driving people nuts. We want less cycle lanes, and they were in fours, and it's a nightmare. Surely you agree. You're not one of them, are you? Can't be.
I do agree with Jeremy. I mean, this is completely bonkers, and look, there's a balance to this. But I actually am really disciplined. I always stop at a red light on my bike, partly because I know that if someone spotted me going through a red light, I'd be in terrible, terrible trouble. But I actually had a taxi driver. He wound down his window and he said, "Thank you very much for stopping, sir," because most people don't.
And you went, vote reform, and good luck. And
of course
I did. Spared. Yes, did you? The only other thing before you go, very quickly, because, of course, the next election, although 3.5 years away, reform leading in the polls. How do you feel about the Labour idea that under 18s could vote at school? We're going to put voting booths maybe in the lunch queue, because most of them aren't intelligent enough to find out where the local thing is. I mean, that is desperation, isn't it, Richard Tice?
Well, desperate measures from desperate people. That's what I say about the Labour government. Look, they've talked about it. I think, actually, given the rise of young people who are planning to vote reform, I suspect this won't see the light of day. But, of course, it's completely wrong. Voting should start, as it currently does, at 18 when you are a legal adult. It is as simple as that.
Great to have you on. I suspect the press conference will be good later on. And imagine if reform do make it into power. Instead of Boris bikes, we'll have Tice tandems. They'll be everywhere. Floppy hair and everything. Richard Tice, you're a legend. Thank you for coming on. Very good man. Loads of you trying to get in touch. Steve's in Yorkshire. What Labour are doing, Jez, regarding giving 16-year-olds the vote is gerrymandering. Nothing more, nothing less. It should be illegal. Changing laws to suit your party. Disgusting. Oh, they're all going. Jez, says Dave in Kent, the narrowing of roads for cyclists is a distraction technique to get the nation talking about that rather than Mahmood. They do this a lot. Great show. Fair enough. Chris Jones, actions not words is the only way I believe the Home Secretary. We all know the lawyers and the ECHR will stop any efforts by this useless government. Tim in Suffolk, visa bans, to coin a phrase, all mouth and no trousers. I want to believe Mahmood, but she wouldn't get it passed by the other Muppets. You're busy in your minds giving response, whether you're against the roads being narrowed, under 18s not getting the vote. Apparently, if you're worried about climate change, you're all on crack cocaine. Are we going to another voice note, a new one? And you're worried about the migrants. Take a breath, Carl. Morning, Sasha.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Sasha in Cheshire again on my morning commute. I'm just ringing in response to the lady's voice note that you played just before the break. I teach in schools, and I completely agree that children are being overdiagnosed. We have too many children who are just a bit naughty or who need better boundaries and routine setting by their parents and lack of parenting skills.
Just some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the home of common sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. What is it, 8:25? Don't know what you're doing this Monday, but please do get involved. This is where the nation comes to speak. Starmer's not saying a lot. Nobody's ever heard anything from him for about 5 days. Usually he tweets, "Nowhere to hide," on the front of the Sun. That could be about Starmer. 0344 499 1000 87222 on the text. We're talking about the Home Secretary today, Shabana Mahmood, saying, "I will sort out the immigration problems." We're delighted to be joined now by the political editor of the Sun, a boy who has risen like a, well, I don't know, just like a phoenix. Good morning, Jack Elson. Very important person now. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. Yes, very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Can we start with Starmer? Where is he? He tweeted on Friday, "Happy birthday to the King." We haven't heard anything. We've had a weekend of... I mean, these words from Shabana Mahmood are the strongest I've heard from a Home Secretary in about 20 years. I've no doubt she won't be able to do anything about it and is probably pitching for the leadership. But for a Home Secretary on the Labour side to say, "Britain is being torn apart by an immigration system that is broken. We need to deport people. I need to restore order." I don't want to be disrespectful, Jack, but up to 2 months ago, that was right-wing bigoted fascism, wasn't it, in the Labour Party's view?
Well, as Nigel Farage put it last night, the words coming out of the Home Secretary's mouth mean that she should probably be a reform supporter rather than a member of the Labour cabinet. Listen, clearly Shabana Mahmood is one of the toughest cookies in the Labour fold, and knows that she will, and this government will live or die by whether or not it can solve the thorny issue of illegal migration, and she's prepared to put in the tough measures to do that. Clearly, there are two things, I think, which are words of caution to her. One is that it needs to be more than just tough talking, and people will judge her not by her rhetoric but by her actions. And let's come back here in a few months' time and see whether some of these measures today have actually made a dent. But then also, clearly, she's going to, by doing this, infuriate a lot of her own backbench MPs who are already now coming out calling this performatively cruel, saying how it's not Labour politics to be, putting the clamps on asylum seekers. I think Shabana Mahmood is happy to have that fight. The problem is whether the rest of her front bench are. Is Keir Starmer ready to go to war with some parts of his Labour backbenchers? Rod Liddle writes in the piece today, actually, when times have shown that he needs to stand up against some of his MPs, he's folded like a deck chair. I mean, think about that welfare rebellion. Yep. You know, £5 billion worth of welfare cuts can get through. So Shabana
Think about
Mahmood,
the income tax rise in the budget.
Exactly.
He does fold like a... And this is interesting. Rod Liddle's thing says Starmer and co don't lead, they flounder, then react badly. Yes, he's not proactive. He is reactive. Now, I'm sitting watching this Home Secretary speak the words that she's speaking, and like you've said, I'm fully aware that if you don't leave the ECHR, it'll be torpedoed by lawyers and our own backbench MPs. But is it more? Is this gaslighting? Because that's what it is. Is it for her own personal ends? Is this a pitch for the leadership? You've also got to bear in mind, I guess, that there's hundreds of Labour MPs, backbench MPs, who are looking at what's going on. They're looking at the opinion polls, and nearly 2 years into a parliament, they're thinking, I'm going to lose my bleeding job unless something's done here. I don't know. But we also know, don't we, Jack, she ain't got a chance of leading the Labour Party, neither has Wes Streeting. It'll be Ed the Weirdo Miliband, because that's what the members will do. That's what they want.
Well, I think this is true. Some people in the cabinet are pitching towards the country. and some people are pitching towards Labour Party members. Think about who got the biggest cheers at Labour Party conference. One of them was Keir Starmer, when he did this whole lefty love-in about basically being united against reform, who are a bunch of racists. The person who got the quietest cheer, and actually a bit of muted applause, was Shabana Mahmood, when she told them some pretty hard truths about how there's nothing compassionate about letting young men cross the channel and come into this country and risk their lives. And actually, we need to put a stop to this mess. That didn't get the rapturous applause in the hall that some of her colleagues did. But I think Shabana Mahmood knows that Labour need to solve this issue if it has any chance whatsoever of beating reform at the next election, not least because if you do this, then in their view, you make immigration, illegal immigration, as an issue, basically sort of die away at the next election, and that is their only chance, really, about stopping the Farage march.
But
so
that's why people. But that's why people, Jack, don't believe, I suspect, in their millions, the validity of what she's being said, because it's almost like you were a right-wing bigot if you did that in the past. You've got to try and convince people, I've listened and I'm doing that. Well, I would have thought you would have listened before you went into Parliament and did something as you entered. 16 months in, people are going to go, is this, are these measures desperate? But you could also argue, it'd be really interesting to see whether she sees this through. Talking about the Labour Party and nothing from Starmer, where is he? Great, we had Poppy Coburn on the show this morning, and I can give you an exclusive, Jack. This is brilliant. Angela Rayner is apparently planning to challenge Sir Keir Starmer. This is, everyone knows it, said to be already walking the corridors of Westminster, offering MPs cabinet jobs. But apparently she's also yet to pay back the 40 grand. Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph told us earlier she ain't got the money to pay it back, and she's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, Angela Rayner clearly being seen by many already as their red queen over the water, someone that can be their left-wing standard bearer. And I can imagine, it'd be interesting to see where she comes out in terms of the illegal migration row. Clearly at the budget, there are going to be some uncomfortable decisions, and whether Angela Rayner decides to make her move then, or whether the next flashpoint, I think more likely, is going to be at the local elections next May, when hundreds of Labour councillors look like they're walking into the electoral mincer. They could be pushed into, third in Scotland, third in Wales, and so it's looking very uncomfortable for them. The question is who is actually ready to challenge Keir Starmer if a time comes on the Labour backbenches? We've already talked about Shabana Mahmood. Many of her MPs and party find what she's doing a bit uncomfortable. They're a bit squeamish about her. Wes Streeting, until last week, was clearly maybe a bit too centre-right for them. He's picked big fights with the BMA, but actually now he's been martyred after being attacked by the Starmer operation. Angela Rayner, is it a bit too soon after being mired in a big sleaze scandal to come back? Well, for most of the public, probably yes, but for her loyalist MPs and for some of the party that just want a big left-winger in their ranks, they'd probably turn a blind eye to it. They probably don't mind. So I think, I don't think anyone's totally ready yet. It's not like a Michael Heseltine figure, or maybe like Rishi Sunak under Boris Johnson. There's not like an obvious person who I think can emerge as a front runner. But clearly Starmer at the moment is very vulnerable because the questions are being asked about his leadership all the time and things aren't getting much better.
Great. And also, can I just, as a political operative, I call you expert, not operative, can you give me your response to this ludicrous suggestion in the Times this morning on page 2 that this government, desperate to hold on to power, are going to allow under-18s to vote at school because obviously they're not intelligent enough to leave school, or in fact old enough to leave school and go and find a voting booth. They're going to be put into schools to make sure that this younger generation get their vote in. Many people, Jack, responding this morning and saying, should you be allowed to vote before you pay tax? I don't agree with. I mean, honestly, if I ask my 6-year-old, he'll go, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are, but under 18s could be voting at school, Jack Elson. What fun that will be.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit bizarre, isn't it? And I think it just goes to show clearly if you're going to do this policy, the school hours are what, 9 till 5? I mean, I can't remember what they are. But
9 till 5,
I know you'll be shocked, Jeremy, but it's a long time ago since I was at school. I know you think it's about, a year ago or something, but it's been a long time.
How old are you, Jack Elson?
It's been a long time.
You brought this up. How old are you?
No. I never reveal my age. I'm a ripe old age of 28.
Great.
But I think the point is that the fact that I think it basically just demonstrates, I think, what many people think is the absurdity of lowering the voting age, because it goes to show that if people can't even have their own free will to leave school, then how on earth are they going to try and make decisions that govern the rest of us? And, I think the problem, the political problem, to bring it back to that with Labour, is that this could spectacularly backfire, because traditionally 16, 17-year-olds, the youth vote has gone towards Labour. Now you're going to have a large chunk of lefties that are going to go to the Greens, the Lib Dems, your party, Corbyn and the rest of it. You're also going to have a big part of the new sort of generation of youngsters who are going to break for Nigel Farage.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. Now, the next part of the show is not political, but we need very quick responses, and then I'll let you go, Jack Elsom. Shocking news today that in the latest war on motorists, Britain's roads have been made narrower to stop drivers from overtaking cyclists. Cyclists up in arms. No, the motorists up in arms saying they don't pay tax. They don't. There's nothing. They don't have insurance. They're a disgrace. They go through red lights. Do you ride a bike in town, Jack?
No, although I was in the country this weekend, I was stuck behind about 5 or 6 cyclists in Lycra for about 30 minutes, going 20 miles below the speed limit, and none of them would move past. And so cyclists aren't in my good books this morning.
Quite right. And finally, I don't know if you've seen this story. This is absolutely gone this morning. The UK's Health Security Agency has said that climate change, eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief is causing millions of people in the United Kingdom, ready for this, because they're concerned that the sea will boil and the fish will die, to become hard drug takers. Apparently UK's drug use is increasing dramatically because a certain number of people in the younger generation are consumed by eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-gift, and their mental health is suffering. I have to ask you this, Jack Elsom, are you worried about the climate?
I am worried about the climate, but I don't.
Are you on crack cocaine then? I mean, that's what I've got to ask you.
No, never taken crack cocaine and never will.
But isn't that barking madman that they actually believe that if you're worried about the climate, somebody spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on that? It's ludicrous, isn't it?
Yes, I can think of probably better uses of money.
We love having you on. Great page 10 this morning in the excellent Sun newspaper with Rod Liddle. It says Starmer and co don't lead. They flounder and then react badly. We thank, as ever, the legend that is Jack Elsom, the Sun's political editor, top man. 24 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK. This, of course, is Talk. These are interesting. Jeff. I despair, Jez. Bike lanes, bus lanes, 20-mile-per-hour limits, bike boxes at the front of lights, no parking as the bus lanes replace that, no through routes as they close roads for pedestrianisation. Take a breath. Low traffic neighbourhoods, 40-mile-per-hour limits on our previously 50-mile-an-hour dual carriageways, not to forget, no left turn, no right turn, except bloody cycles or buses. Why are they making us go as slow as camels in the Sahara? Open up our bleeding roads. Our forefathers had no limits, and look at the great nation they built. We're so wrapped up in red tape, whichever way we turn. Why bother going out? Why bother even trying to spend anything to grow the economy? Why bother even doing anything? More stress than it's worth. Road planners and TfL should be removed immediately. One angry punter. Jeff. He's angry, isn't he? Look at this. Oh, also, very quickly, Katie, in response to Richard Tice. Richard made many points I agree with today around special needs. Too many parents lying, saying their kids need far more support than they actually need because of benefits being overpaid. It's taking money away from services that can help individuals manage life when they become adults, the genuine cases. They do need to bring back spies to monitor people on benefits to catch them out. Would save this country a lot of money. Have a great day, Talk Team, and keep up the good work. Do you remember when people used to phone up the local councils and say, oh, he's working at number 10 and he's on benefits, or she's doing that? What do we feel about that? Do we feel that's right or wrong to make the economy better? I'd love to hear from you on that. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. We spoke earlier to Amy Fairman from River Action, that disgusting story about the River Cherwell in Oxfordshire. I'm not sure about it, but there was this massive waste dump next to the river, 12 metres high, 500 foot long. It's disgusting. It's an eyesore. Is it true that Oxfordshire Council's a green council? It's a green council running that. Look at it. It's an eco-disaster. Morning, Adrian.
Hello, Jeremy. It's Adrian from East Sussex. Really, the waste on the next to the River Cherwell. We don't just need the operators, the illegal operators who've been dumping lorry after lorry after lorry load in court. We also need to see the police commissioner, the regional head of the Environment Agency, and the local council, because they have all failed in their duties in public office to actually deal with this. Because this isn't a fly tip where it's just happened once. It's been an obvious repeating occurrence, regular deliveries of waste. Very easy to have found out about and dealt with if they'd only have spent more time on that than DEI, I suspect.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tonight, we were just talking about my daughter Iris, who is listening in the car. She's not even 2. What a world she's being born into. Iris, I've got to tell you this, sweetheart. The UK Health Security Agency said that climate change, which you might be concerned about it too, is fueling Britain's drug use, which means that all these people... Look at your mother. If she's concerned, your mother, about what's happening climate-wise, and she's gripped by eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief, Iris, your mummy could be on crack cocaine. I happen to know she's not. Welcome to Morning Glory. If you'd like to take part, 0344 499 1000. You're wound up about so many things. Good morning, Jeremy. Loving it. I don't trust Labour to do anything with illegal immigration, even if Mahmood wants to do what she says she will do. Her party and the Guardianistas in the MSM will stop her. Hello to Paul in Durham. Wayman? What was that about? Morning, Jez. You asked, where is Starmer? He's bunkered up. You've got me to thank for this. I wrote to my MP and told him every time Starmer opens his mouth or appears on TV, he simply creates more of us wanting to vote for reform. They've obviously told him to keep his head down. Sarah, or it could be Sarah in Wiltshire, I'm afraid I don't buy what the Home Secretary is saying. I believe she's eyeing up the PM's job. Yes, Sean Cooper agrees. Mahmood is gaslighting us. She's saying all this stuff knowing it will be strangled at birth by her party and the courts, but she can then throw her hands in the air, good point this, and say, I tried, I was stopped. She can't blame them. Sean's in Bridlington. Brilliant. Hello, Richard. Jezza, why don't we house proven homeless veterans in Crowborough's disused barracks? Why don't we look after our own first before illegal migrants? Don't be ridiculous, Richard. What, people that donned a uniform and went abroad and fought for our liberty and probably ended up on the streets with PTSD and nowhere to live? Look after them as against illegal men who could have any sort of background coming into this country? Where's your morality, man? Goodness sake, charity doesn't begin at home, does it? Belongs in Eritrea. Anthony says Angela Rayner received a £17,000 payoff, even though she's campaigned against it whilst in opposition for losing a ministerial job. So all she's got to find of the £40,000 she hasn't paid back in stamp duty is a smaller amount. Rob's just responded. Rob says, that's the greatest line in breakfast radio history. To your wife, Iris, your mother could be on crack cocaine. It was just a joke. Rob, thank you so much indeed. 0344, my wife probably divorced me. Oh no, that'd be expensive. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. I want to say good morning to my next guest, Mike Neville, former Met Police detective. We want to talk Broken Britain. Morning, Mikey.
Good morning, Jeremy.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, and but distressed by all this rising crime. This country used to be proud of its police force. Scotland Yard was the ultimate crime-fighting machine, wasn't it?
I don't want to make you one-dimensional, but you brought up stress. You'll have heard the story this morning that so many of us apparently are suffering from eco-fear, eco-anger and eco-grief, that we're turning to hard drugs. Are you concerned about the environment, Mike Neville? And are you on crack cocaine?
Well, being from Bolton, Jeremy, it could do with a bit of climate change there. I always say I was in the army for 5 years. I went back to Bolton, it was still raining, so we could do with a bit more there, to be honest. So
good man, good man. I wanted to talk about Broken Britain. There's just the most appalling few videos on the internet over the weekend, and we go on and on about things like, oh, climate anxiety, and let's get the under 18s to not feel anxious and vote. And then we see this first video, and if you're listening on the radio, it was a shoplifter pretending to be a wheelchair user. If we could play it in the middle of me and Mike, that would be great. He leaps out to assault a security guard in Sainsbury's in Staplehurst. We're playing it right now. Footage shows the thug, Davy Brown, hiding the alcohol under a jacket covering his lap. The 19-year-old pleaded guilty to robbery, afraid, 2 counts of damaging property, common assault, using threatening words and behaviour, and using a motor vehicle, without insurance. He was sentenced to 3 years and 1 month's imprisonment. A young man, right, going into a shop, Sainsbury's, pretending to be in a wheelchair and beating the rubbish out of security guards. 3 years. What's wrong with it nowadays? Why is this happening, Mikey?
Well, because I suppose when you say 3 years, that's a lie, Jeremy, isn't it? Because that means 1 year, 2 months, because they only do 40% of that sentence. So when you say, why are people doing this? This is one of the reasons, because they know that they will not get a substantial sentence. And it would almost be easy to laugh at this, sort of a Little Britain Andy sort of way. But it isn't laughable when people start assaulting the staff in there and the security guards. You can see the level of violence that he offered to the security guard, and then he threatened to smash every bone in the police officer's face.
He said, take your uniform off, mate, and I'll show you what a hard man's all about. You're absolutely right. Disgusting.
This man is a vile individual. He should be in prison for 10 years, not 1 year and 2 months. And I mean 10 years, not 40% of 10 years. And this is an issue. And the other issue as well, of course, is that because shoplifting has been allowed to get out of control, what you have is that thieves think they're entitled to steal.
Yeah.
So when somebody says, no, you're not taking that out of the shop, they become violent. So the allowing of shoplifting to be some sort of a natural act has resulted in people thinking they're entitled to walk out, and this results in more violence in the community, and it's not good enough.
It's appalling. There was another one. There was a shocking moment. This is on the M1 last Wednesday. Like a black Range Rover appeared to force a Toyota Prius. If we can play this as well off the road, right? Knocked the bloke out and started to nick everything out of the car. Officers have since arrested 4 men, doesn't matter their age, in connection with the incident. So basically you see them force a car off the road, knock the bloke out, and then nick everything in it and drive off. And people are taking videos. And you just get to a point where you think, what the hell's going on? I mean, I'm reading this as well. More than 40 violent attacks take place every day on Britain's rail network, figures obtained by The Sun on Sunday show. 15,500 violent crimes. I told you the other day about my son being on the train. Last night, my daughter went back and she texted me. She was getting grief from somebody about sitting on the wrong seat and she was on her own. What's gone wrong with this country, Mikey? How do we get it back? What I call common decency and just a respect for the difference between right and wrong.
Well, the first thing would be to give people proper sentences so they go to jail and people know that and they're locked up. But with the railways, I have particular expertise in catching criminals with images, CCTV and the like. And the British Transport Police should be catching lots more criminals because, of course, every station, every railway, the underground stations got loads of CCTV and they've got no effective use of a system to use it. If you said to the BTP today, how many images of suspects have you got to identify? They don't know. Have you linked those suspects to other crimes? They can't do that. And so what happens is, another major problem is the police do not use technology. They don't use the knowledge of their staff who know these criminals. And the people to blame for that are the Home Office, because they measure fingerprints and DNA usage. They don't measure the use of images. And on the railways, as I say, everything is covered by CCTV. So why isn't 90 90% of crimes solved. Instead, they're solving handfuls of crimes, and that leaves us all at risk.
I mean, it does, and you know, it's on the day that we read that. I mean, I read this. There was some police thing. There were some parents arrested over school WhatsApp. Right? Do you remember that story?
Yes, I do. In Hertfordshire.
Yesterday, the police had to apologise and say it was an unlawful arrest and pay him 20 grand in damages. And yet we go back to that thug who can clearly walk, jumping out of a wheelchair, smashing the whatsits out of a security guard, threatening to kill a policeman, or has got 3 years and will be out in 12 months. To be exactly the same. I don't know whether the world has changed so much, but the way people see the police seems to have changed immeasurably, you know?
Absolutely. I've got to say, I've got personal experience of Hertfordshire, and it has changed. They've got a new chief constable who actually said to me, fighting crimes, that is the ultimate aim. So I'm really pleased we've got new police chiefs, because that's what we need. We need police chiefs who are focused on fighting crime and not diversity targets. But again, they come from the Home Office. People in the police are ambitious to get promoted. If they're told that DEI is important, they'll focus on that rather than catching criminals. So we've seen a change with the Home Secretary in relation to immigration, a massive change. You know, 2 months ago it was racist. Now we're going to throw them all back in the sea or whatever we're going to do. So let's hope she's going to take the same situation with the police and say, right, police officers, chief constables, your job is to fight crime and prevent crime happening in the first place, rather than focusing on nonsense targets.
Can you imagine, though, just, and great as ever, Mikey, you came out with a sentence with a dead straight face, because that's the job that you need to talk about the situation. The new Crime Commissioner of Hertfordshire, or the new police chief constable, said to you, fighting crime is now the aim. Most people, right, in their car right now, or going to work or listeners, are going to go, well, that's what the bloody police are for. And that's how divorced from the reality. And this started, by the way, not under Starmer, this started with that loathsome Theresa May, who cut the police to shreds. And it's the old thing that you say, that Blexley says, men and women on the ground get you intel. That's how you deal with crime, because you get information, and also it's about a presence, and we don't have that anymore. And I just feel like the police, I don't mean a laughing stock, but I don't think people are scared of the police, are they? No, final word from you, Mikey. I used to be terrified of the cops.
Well, start recruiting like they did when I did. Have at least half the police force are ex-armed forces, and run the training establishment like Hendon was when I was there. It was like a military establishment. It wasn't going to university from 10 till 4 in the day. You were there all the time. They could see you got marched around, you learned some discipline, you had some presence. That's what will stop crime.
Completely agree, Mike Neville. We love having you on, former Met Police detective. 9 minutes to 9. Have I woken up this morning? I'm wondering if it's April the 1st, says Piers. It's not Piers Morgan, is it? It's not Piers Morgan. It's about his book. Morning, me old mate, says Les from Swindon. I've never met him, but I'm his mate. Nothing wrong with the roads, it's the cars. They're much wider than they were back in the 60s and 70s. We could shrink the cars, then we won't upset the cyclists. Yeah, you can do one. Have we got a voice note? Are we going to a voice note? No, we're going straight to the break. Back in 3, I'm off for a wee.
some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Thank you, by the way, for all your voice notes and your texts. We will get to them. 87222, start your message with the word talk. I don't know what the name is because it's only come up as there. Steve, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy Kyle. It's Donald J. Trump here. What I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to sue the BBC for $10 billion. We're not going to watch any more fake news, because that's really bad. I'm going to tell everybody to listen to Talk Radio and watch Talk TV, because we love Talk Radio. We love common sense.
Very good. I think he's probably anxious about the climate and might be on some illegal substance. I don't know. 5 to 9, push the button, please.
90 minutes in 90 seconds. From The Sun.
A very good morning to Martin Blackburn, Sun reporter. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good morning, Jeremy. Very well, thanks.
I sort of missed it all. I missed everything of importance yesterday, like the England game with Albania, and also I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, because I went to bed at 8 o'clock because I'm old. The only thing I picked from it, unbeaten throughout the qualifying, yawn, we always are, but we'll still be too hot to do well. Jude Bellingham, I was reading about he was substituted, he threw his hands in the air. I read a piece in The Sun and I read a piece somewhere else. One said, oh, that's just frustration. The other is he's got an attitude. Where'd you stand on this?
Yeah, I mean, that gave us a bit of a talking point, Jeremy, like you say. Jude Bellingham has struggled to get in the team in recent weeks, partly through injury, but partly through Thomas Tuchel as well, and finally gets his chance and played very well, to be fair. But then when it comes to him being taken off in the last few minutes, he has a little bit of a strop and gives my colleagues something to write about. So Thomas Tuchel afterwards said that he's going to be taking quite close notice of how the players behave in the lead up to the World Cup in 7 months' time.
What I like, I mean, listen, I'll stick my neck on the line. I'm sorry, I don't want a German in charge of the English team. I'm being completely honest. That's not me being anything other than a football fan. I want Eddie Howe. Well, I don't want Eddie Howe because they're doing a great job at Newcastle. But I like the fact that he's making those sorts of decisions. And I don't mean to be disrespectful of Bellingham or anybody else, but prepared to upset anybody. Because actually the view has been for years that the big-time Charlies in the England team have called the shots and nobody's ever been able to say, I'm going to substitute you or I'm not going to play you. I quite like that in Tuchel. That's what I would say.
That's right, Jeremy. Yeah, I mean, we sort of know of him a little bit from his time at Chelsea, that he's not afraid to make those big calls. He's a big character himself, and he's shown already that he's not going to sort of be swayed by people's sort of egos and their reputations. He's going to pick what he thinks is the best team. So perhaps that's what England need, and he, as things stand, he's just sort of passing through, really, Thomas Tuchel. He's just going to do this one campaign, and then next summer he's going to go. And, he's throwing his weight around and standing up to people. So let's see where it takes us.
Do you think Thomas Tuchel could... I mean, we have this discussion, Martin, the whole time, and then I'm that typical England fan. I say we haven't got a chance, and then we win our first 3 games, so we get out the group, and I do what everybody else does, start flags in my car, and I'm all excited, and then we get to the semi-finals, and it's too hot, and we miss a penalty, and then I spend months depressed and wonder why I was ever feeling like that. Where are you on this genuinely? You're a legend. You know what you're talking about.
I mean, what tends to happen, Jeremy, in the countries who sort of are in their home continent, if you like, tend to win. So you probably look at Brazil and Argentina, teams like that. But, we're going there. We're going to be going there full of confidence. Keep an eye on December the 5th. That's the date of the draw. see what sort of route we've got to the final, and then make your mind up from there. I think that's the message. But
come on, though, Mike, you can't get away with it. I was in the Landmark Hotel in London on Saturday night because I went to a dinner and stayed there with my wife. It's where the Brazil team were, which was quite interesting. Yeah, I saw them, not all of them. Who wins the next World Cup, and how far do Britain get? England.
England get. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll say we'll get to the quarterfinals, which is what we always do, of course, and then go out. And then I don't know. I think I like the look of Argentina. I must say, they won it. They won it last time as well. So, and as I say, being in their sort of continent, the conditions and that, I think that will give them a chance. So let's see. But
good man.
Sure, one day, Jeremy, it's going to come home, isn't it? One day.
Absolutely. Before you go, Martin Blackburn, Northwest sports reporter for The Sun. Who's your team?
Well, I grew up watching Blackburn, actually.
See you later, mate. Bye. It's been great. And I'm a West Ham fan. I thought that was depressing. Almost 9 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. So much in the news. Apparently, Shabana Mahmood of the Labour Party are going to tackle illegal immigration finally. Matthew Torbett and Trevor Kavanagh will have a discussion about that next after the news at 9, which is next on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's gone 9 o'clock. This is Talk, of course, the home of common sense, where the nation comes to talk. We welcome your response. So many stories in the news. The Home Secretary talking about how Labour are going to finally clear migration, the hypocrisy of the Green Party. Angela Rayner wants to be PM, but she doesn't pay back her stamp duty. The UK's Health Security Agency has said that climate change and eco-fear, eco-concern and eco-anger is fueling drug use to extraordinary levels. So basically, if you want to save a mountain, you're probably on crack cocaine. In the latest war on motorists, Britain's roads are to be made narrower. Sod the motorists, it's all about the cyclist. Jez, regarding Rayner, it seems to me many people have lost all sense of shame, says Sue in Dorset. Years ago, your friends and family would shun you for dishonesty and wrongdoing. Now they want you to be Prime Minister. Crazy. Sarah, how come my 16... Oh, God, this is this Labour Party's thing. 18-year-olds and under can not only vote, but will put booths in schools because they're not intelligent enough to go into the community and find out where to go. Sarah says, looking at Talbot, how come my 16-year-old who is joining the Royal Marines can possibly vote, but has to give his permission? I have to give permission to talk about anything medical. Absolutely true. What in the crack cocaine is going on with the climate? The world's gone barking mad. And finally, this is great. There's so many people. Ernie, and he drove... No, he didn't. Jez, if we all scrap our cars and get on our bikes, which is what this government wants, then they'll see what a real black hole looks like, because it's us motorists that pay the billions every year in tax to allow this bloody country to succeed. And Keith, finally, voting in schools. What safeguards will there be to stop teachers coercing kids into which way to vote? Great call, great comment. Good morning to the only lefty I allow. I love him, former Labour advisor Matthew Talbot. How are you?
Good, not bad for a Monday.
Always comes in with that look on his face. What's he going to throw at me? I'm going to throw this at you. The new Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood will today threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who do not take back illegal migrants. She says illegal migration is tearing Britain apart, but I will restore order. Let's just play this. This is Shabana Mahmood, my friends.
In the last 4 years, 400,000 people claimed asylum here. Over 100,000 are housed and supported at taxpayers' expense, putting huge pressure on local communities. We need to reduce the numbers coming here illegally. We need to remove more people who have no right to be here. We will always be a country that gives sanctuary to those fleeing danger, but we must restore order and control.
Got Trevor Kavanagh as well on Zoom. We'll come to you in a sec, Trev. Strong words, Matthew, right? But we all know that unless this government and this country leaves the ECHR, the human rights lawyers will tie that up in knots. The Guardian already today saying this is far-right fascism, and most of her backbench MPs saying this is not fundamentally Labour, this will never happen. Gaslighting, right? Wants the job, yeah?
She might well want the job. I don't know what leaving the ECHR's got to do with it, because since the 70s, the ECHR has got involved in 12 cases and overturned them in this country. It is a myth that the ECHR stops us from doing everything.
What about the human rights laws?
Well, that's our law. It's nothing to do with Europe. It is our domestic law that gets in the way.
So they could change that law, the Labour government,
straight
straight away?
Anyone could. Now, you've got to get it through your own backbenches like anything else. But it's nothing to do with this anomaly of the ECHR that doesn't get involved and overturn our cases. It's a misnomer. So
what about the Europe 1951 Convention? There are laws that human rights lawyers are using to allow people to stay in this country who shouldn't stay. But my bigger point is this. A Home Secretary using, from the Labour Party, I'm not dissing anybody here, using that language is almost, it blows everybody's mind, because it was only 2 months ago that anybody that wasn't on the Labour side that talked about anything like the reform or anybody was called a far-right bigot, was absolutely strangled. And what I don't understand is that they expect people to take this seriously. This is just reactive politics again, isn't it?
Probably. Yeah. It does make you question if all of this is so possible, what Yvette Cooper was doing for 12 months in the Home Office. Yeah. I don't think Yvette fancied this sort of stuff at all. Several things. I struggle with this sort of stuff as a Labour Party person. Morally, I believe in the strong helping the weak. Morally, I believe in doing what we can. I'm also realistic. You've heard me many times speak about the fact that it is a security risk that we don't know who people are, and that it is not left-wing to have no control of your borders. I think it's silly, and you've got to be patriotic with this sort of stuff and protect people. If we want people to integrate, do we say, right, OK, you've never been a citizen? How does that help integration when people want to finally have something to hold and go, I feel part of something? The vast majority of people that tend to flee would rather be in their own country, but it's a bin fire wherever they're from. To say that you can, and actually this is what the Home Office forget, is their own guidance that was released in February of this year said you will likely never be a British citizen if you come in illegally. So we're not talking about 20 years, we're talking about never anyway. This is a little bit of a rehash to maybe, I don't know if this is to make it not seem as bad for those that are more liberal and go, OK, 20 years. Is it going to stop crossings? If you're genuine, for instance, and there is no safe and legal route because you're fleeing Syria,
We'll get on a plane then.
No. Are you leaving Damascus on a plane? No, come
well, you're paying a smuggler thousands, spend it on a plane ticket.
No. Again, if we're being genuine, Jez, and there isn't a safe and legal route, there was in the case of Afghanistan or Ukraine, but now there isn't. You're not fleeing Kabul because there are no flights.
But you're saying Kabul, but this is where you and I, we're mates, right? We're not, we argue forever. Fleeing France is not, this is the argument. And I've said it to you, and I'm going to bring Trevor in a sec. I completely get people, look at Ukraine, but you will not be able to pass to the British public anymore that people who are leaving a tented village in France are coming here because of war-torn reasons. And one, if I was leaving a war-torn country, Matty, and I've said this to you before, I would bring my wife and kids. I wouldn't leave them at the mercy of the bombs. B, and two, the first country I got to that didn't have bombs raining down on my head, I'd stay there. The truth is, and you know this because you've admitted to me, we offer so much more than the pull to this country is greater, and that I think has to be dealt with, as well as legal routes and boats. I think, and the reason I think it's such a huge debate now, and I think this is really important, is I think it was passed over for years. But I think the British people, of course not people in Kabul, but British people are struggling to pay their food, which is 3 times the cost, their energy bills, and they're really struggling, and they go, hold on a second, right? I'm not immoral, but I'm really, really hacked off that I'm paying my tax and that person's getting more than me.
And that, you've just told me exactly what the problem is. It isn't. And this is not me saying, open the borders, all is fine and great. My issue is I wrote my thesis on the history of immigration policy from 1907 onwards. We have been having this discussion as a scapegoat since 1907. That we have been harsher and harsher and harsher, certainly since the 60s onwards, with the Commonwealth Act, the British Nationality Act, Illegal Migration Act, Rwanda, all this sort of stuff. It's up. Small boat crossings are up. Denmark, which we're copying, don't have small boat crossings. They have refugees, they don't have small boat crossings. The reason people are annoyed is because before the financial crash, we had a 36% debt to GDP ratio. Now, because the bankers, which nobody talks about anymore, it's only 20 years ago, nobody talks about it, we're at a 96% debt to GDP ratio. People's lives are rubbish, and yet we're told if we treat people like that, like dirt, we'll feel better off. 5 years' time?
I don't think we're told. I want to Trevor Kavanagh, Trevor Kavanagh, you're on Zoom. Good morning. Matt's in the studio. Are we, I mean, people's lives are not rubbish, but they're not as good as they were. I don't think that means they take it out. I think it means that they look at what they're paying in and think, why? I think we were less willing to moan about it when things were better. That's what I'd say. Trevor, your response to Matt?
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't know where to begin with this because this has not been going on since 1907, as Matt suggests. This has been going on since Tony Blair opened the floodgates to mass immigration in this century. And as long as we keep calling them asylum seekers, when in fact they're criminally sponsored illegal migrants, we will never solve this problem. If they are asylum seekers, they can claim asylum anywhere in the countries of Europe that they've traveled through in order to get to those tent camps on the border of France. There are ways and means in which you could actually stop the boats, but we will not do so because the human rights laws forbid it. And when they arrive here, even with Shabana Mahmood's uttering these words, which are very welcome to hear about the fact that this country is being torn apart, I mean, words that you couldn't imagine any Labour minister or even an MP saying until she uttered them yesterday. I think this is a breakthrough only in terms of terminology, because we need to see the results of this. We need to see the proof in the pudding of those boats stopping as a result of actions by this government or any other government in this country. And until that happens, nobody will believe a word the politicians say.
Matt?
I'm always comforted by people who say with such confidence that I am wrong when I'm not. I'm not right on everything. The idea that we've not been... The first Illegal Alien Act came in 1907.
Talk to him, he's on that camera.
Because there were scapegoats.
That's irrelevant. That's a different era.
Well, it's not, because you're talking about Tony Blair opening the floodgates. Well, listen, I listen to you, Trevor, so you listen to me. Tony Blair didn't open the floodgates, but you forget, pre-Thatcher, 3/4 of the world had the legal right to come here because we had a Commonwealth, and it took years for us to even bother with that. Then it was the Ugandan Indians that came over, and that was a big issue for Harold Wilson. This has always been an issue. It is the blame your neighbour politics. I'm not saying we shouldn't control our borders. We absolutely should. I think it speaks to the actual broken nature of our country and people feeling like their lives aren't in control. However, will these measures work? Yes, in the sense of it will totally normalise the ground for when reform win in 4 years. Labour can either look at things like offshore processing and knowing exactly who's coming here in the first place, because if you get here without telling us, you should be deported. There's no reason why you shouldn't be clear about who you are, and therefore we know people are safe, we know your backgrounds and all the rest of it. This will change nothing for me. I think to say, 20 years, you're not going to integrate people because of that. And that's the issue for lots of people. I don't think this is left or right. This is about values and about coming here and appreciating what the laws are in this country.
Trevor?
Well, going back to the 1907 argument, they weren't arriving here in the numbers that they are today, which is at the moment around 80,000 a year by boat alone. And that doesn't include the many, many thousands who come in by a truck or by other means of transport, including light aircraft. They are paying a great deal of money to come, as you, Jeremy, say, as single young men, no families. They are fleeing their countries for one purpose, which is to establish a toehold here. And once they arrive, they cannot effectively be removed. That is the whole crux of the matter. Once they're here, there's no way of removing them with any satisfaction. And you've already got the human rights lawyers lining up to say they will fight Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary's plan, tooth and nail from the moment it begins.
Ivana Storiel says, Matt, you're absolutely wrong and I love you. They will stay long enough to have kids, develop health issues, even, I suspect, commit crime to get themselves into a safe and comfortable prison. Any chance to subvert deportation? Tell Matt 1907 did not have the immigration problem we have today. Full marks to Trevor. Sense.
My point is, it's not about the numbers, it's about the fact that we've used
It is about the numbers.
Thank you, Trevor. About scapegoats. That's what it is. And it is constant, whether that has been black Jamaicans, whether that has been Africans, whether that has been Eastern Europeans and whatever else. Two main things that I think, and Trevor can have this if he wants, is win the day, whatever. The reason people tend to come here is because English is the world's second language. If I was fleeing because something happened...
Is it also not because we offer more, Matt? Come on, it can't just be the language.
French social benefits are more generous than ours.
They get a tent. You get a four-star hotel.
With regards to social services and benefits, it's much more generous in France.
So why don't they stay in France?
But again, if you let me have the second point, I would flee to USA or Canada. I don't speak French. If I was going to flee because something happened here, I would not be going to France.
I don't think anybody would be going to France if it were French people.
If
their numbers are just as bad as ours.
If your life is at stake, you learn a new language, surely. This happened all through history, including Brits moving to other countries. Learning a language is the least problem, and in fact, many people come here who never learn to speak English, especially the women who are banned from having English language lessons.
Which again,
so I think that argument doesn't wash. It is the magnetic lure of our benefits and the fact that we already have huge established communities of people from various countries in the world who have come here illegally. That's the magnet.
People can't claim benefits. People cannot claim benefits if they're refugees or asylum seekers. They get put in upper hotels and get £7 a day. They're all coming in.
They see a doctor and a dentist very much quicker than anybody who's paid their tax gets to see anybody for months.
That's right. Listen, I'd love to have my teeth done, but I couldn't live on £7 a day.
50 quid a week for doing nothing? And meals on top? Meals on top?
Yes.
In a hotel? But Matt, listen, you're going to laugh at me. But you're going to laugh at me. If I'm working 40 hours a week and I'm paying rent, right, hear me out, and I'm paying for my kids and I'm paying for my bills, there will be people listening to that don't even have £50 left when all of that's done, and they are going to absolutely go, I might be moral and I might not have said anything, but why the hell is my life at this point when I keep saying this, when I'm paying into this, and yet these people seem to come and get more than us. It's not that I'm against that. There will be millions of people in this country saying, I'm 28th in the bloody queue and I'm paying for this. And that's the issue. I've always think that's the issue, that we seem to, out of this moral duty, protect, and I know you're going to hate this, not our own first anymore.
But this is the problem. So therefore, you're not even wrong, Jez. This is the frustrating thing. So why, therefore, are you blaming people for coming? If it's so generous and whatever,
I'm blaming the
why
system.
are we not blaming the politicians that have never looked after this country for the last 30 or 40 years? This is what infuriates me about this debate. We're blaming the people that are lower on the rung than us on the ladder, or those that are just about getting up to where we are. It is those lot with vague laws that lawyers will lawyer with, because that is their job as human rights lawyers, and judges will infer what they interpret as the law. We do not blame the right people in this country. We didn't have a single banker go to jail in 2008, and they've plunged this country into a crisis for the last 20 years, and we're sat here going, Imran and Ahmed are the biggest problems with me, because it's so viscerally obvious when you're watching the TV. So frustrating with this
Trevor
debate.
Kavanagh?
Well, I just don't know where to begin, Jeremy, with that argument. I mean, the equivalence with the financial crisis is utterly irrelevant. I think Shabana Mahmood was absolutely right to say that the arrival of tens of thousands of people, mainly single, many of them from cultures which are totally alien from the British way of life, is tearing the country apart. It's as simple as that. And you cannot argue about all of the technicalities that Matt has come up with dating back to 1907 and beyond in order to address this problem, which I believe is now beginning to become a serious threat to our civil society and the fabric of that society. And so does Shabana Mahmood, obviously.
Do you think, just very quickly to finish, gentlemen, do you both, you might come from different ends of the spectrum, simple question, we'll start with you, Trevor. Is this gaslighting? Does she believe it? Is it a pitch for the leadership? And do you believe that Labour will be able to crack down on illegal migration?
Well, I think you're right on the first couple. I do not believe that Labour is going to crack down on illegal migration. I think that Shabana Mahmood actually is a very sensible, sane politician. But she is on the Labour side, and she has to put up with the opposition of the overwhelming majority of Labour MPs, many of them with the same view as Matthew, that basically they don't really believe in borders at all. They believe that we should accept all who want to come here, regardless of their qualifications, because the way of the world is that we're moving across continents, and we've simply got to resign ourselves to that fact.
Final word, Matthew. Do you think that Labour, never seen him so angry, do you think that Labour will be able to crack down on illegal migration?
No, because I think this is posturing. Thank you to Trevor for misrepresenting my point as well. I've never said I don't believe in borders. I said totally the opposite, but you crack on for your Monday morning. I don't think it'll shift the dial. I don't think those coming across the channel will compare notes on how long it will take to have citizenship or not. I do think you have to process people before they get here. You have to stop the boats, not deport people when they're here. That's the thing that annoys people.
Well, that was round one. Next Monday at 9 o'clock, round two. This is Talk. Morning.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the Talk TV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, that was feisty. I quite like that head-to-head. Torbett and Kavanagh. More of that coming up. You're waking up to the news that the Home Secretary today, Shabana Mahmood, will threaten a Trump-style visa ban on countries who refuse to take back illegal migrants. Many people saying this language is unheard of from a Labour politician, and let alone a Home Secretary. This is surely what they were calling right-wing bigoted fascism about 16 months ago. But there she is. Apparently she's already been told that her plans will be torpedoed by human rights lawyers and her own backbench MPs. Angela Rayner's rushing around the Commons trying to take on Keir Starmer. The UK Health Security Agency has said that climate change and people's fear about what's going to happen is leading to increased drug taking. So obviously if you're concerned about the rivers and the seas, you're all on crack cocaine. And just to also take the latest war on motorists a stage further, Britain's roads are to be made narrower to stop drivers from overtaking those leg shave, lycra wearing pains in the backside that are called cyclists. Jeremy, I always thought Matthew was unique in his views as a Labour supporter, but the mask slipped this morning, showing the usual Labour condescending attitude, says Lisa in Northern Ireland. Hi, Jez. Matt forgets when Blair purposely opened our borders to cheap EU labour that decimated our own skilled workforce. Morning to Ian in Merseyside. Jez, regarding climate change, I'm pretty sure I've lived through oil running out in 10 years, the Ice Age, acid rain and global warming turned into climate change, for God's sake. Well done, Matthew, says Margaret. Brilliant, saying exactly what we're all thinking about this new gimmick from a Home Secretary. Hello to David in Hertfordshire. Jez, this is really interesting and very honest as well. After a decade of trying to work out why working was so difficult for me, leading to anxiety, depression and even the thoughts of suicide, at 50 I was finally diagnosed with ADHD after trying every kind of therapy privately at my own cost. My medication has changed my life, Jez. Hilariously, because I went privately for my diagnosis, I pay £100 a month for that medication. Thanks, NHS, for nothing. As an ADHD man, I can 100% confirm I can and I want to work, and I don't need a car on the state to get me there. Anyone who is not working due to ADHD is playing the system, my opinion, and I have every reason to believe that it's true. David, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Hold on. Scott, Jez, narrowing the roads won't stop cars overtaking cyclists, but it'll just make it more dangerous for the cyclist. Unless they narrow the roads to the width of a bike, cars will always rightly overtake those slow-moving. Yes, I completely agree. Now, one of the things that Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has said is that she's going to restore order to our immigration service. And I guess you must have read over the last few days that she's been looking at the Denmark example. Denmark, who, for example, give you an example, migrants coming in have jewellery and assets seized upon arrival to pay for accommodation as part of how they do it. We thought we'd get a view of how it works in Denmark. We're delighted, I'm going to get this wrong. Mikaela Klante Ben Dixon is founder and leader of Refugees Welcome in Denmark. A very good morning to you, Mikaela.
Thank you.
I'm interested to know, the title is Refugees Welcome. I don't know if you've been to Britain, I'm sure you're aware. We're stuck in this terrible situation where seemingly people who are unvetted can come in. The country seems to be split between people who say this is completely unacceptable. Our social services are in the toilet. We pay in and we get nothing compared to these people. And others who go, oh no, we must have lots of people in whatever. Can you tell us how Denmark got to a point where it doesn't have any illegal boat crossings?
Well, where would you cross from to Denmark in a boat? We have border crossings.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, we have very few arrivals compared to most countries and compared to like 10 years ago. And that is due to a very strict policy we have, but also to what we call negative nation branding, telling people that they would definitely not be welcome if they arrived in Denmark. Which in my view also has a lot of negative impacts on Danish society and on integration.
Do you, you talk about negative nation branding, you mean adverts, you mean social media, that's saying, you know, if you come here, you won't get a house, you won't get this, your assets will be frozen, blah, blah, blah. That's what we're talking about, right?
Well, not necessarily. We did that a long time ago, but the present government doesn't do that. But the atmosphere, the changing governments in Denmark have been very clear about. I mean, the present prime minister right now says clearly that her goal is 0 asylum seekers and refugees in Denmark.
And how does that go down? It is obviously something you don't agree with, but how has that gone down in terms of across the country? Because as I repeat to you, the problem in this country is so many people who might or might not feel that they want to support people who come from a worse situation. The two biggest lies that we're told repeatedly are all these people come from a war-torn country. Well, they don't, because they get to a safe country before they come to Britain, because Britain, I think, and many people think, offers far more than other countries. You offer less. Is that not the issue? Is the issue not that the pull is greater here?
We actually offer far more than Britain does.
Oh, do you?
It's just in different ways.
Like, I mean, what?
The social security system is far better in Denmark than it is in UK. But what we don't offer, and what refugees are very keen on, and which is their main goal, of course, is security and a future. So I mean, this whole discussion about the Danish model is about the temporariness that we have plunged ourselves into. All permits in Denmark to refugees are given for only 1 or 2 years at a time, and then they have to be extended, renewed, which they will be, by the way. So it's kind of a hollow policy, just resulting in a lot of stress and anxiety and fear. But in fact, we are not able to send people back, of course, because we are bound by conventions, as everybody else in the European society are.
I'm a little bit confused. So you'd be against your government's policies about how strong they are on migrants, yes?
Definitely, yes. I think some of our integration policies are not that bad. They've been quite effective, actually.
Can I just ask you a question? Why would you be against a policy that successfully dealt with a problem that is causing huge issues in so many European countries, financially and socially? Surely the people of Denmark are happy to see that their own lives aren't being so blighted by this steady stream of illegal migrants who aren't vetted coming into their country.
My focus is on the Refugee Convention on the human rights, and to save those people's lives and to give them a chance of security. And I have to say, I heard the previous discussion you had. In general, if you look over a long term, refugees and migrants are an asset and a resource to any economy. If you need money for the poorest Britain people, the white people in Britain, I think you should look at your tax system, probably.
Can I ask you something? Because and you're far more intelligent than me, and I'm actually glad I'm asking this of somebody who comes from another country, because somebody would say, I have no agenda here. I just want to ask you something. You say, just let me finish. They are an asset to any economy. OK? Explain to me the moral stance that you and others take of a young man who apparently leaves a war-torn country, hear me out, is so concerned by the social situation he finds himself in, leaves his wife and kids there, travels across Europe to various countries that are safe, but doesn't stay there, comes to the United Kingdom because, I don't know about Denmark, because we'll put them in a 4-star hotel, give them a mobile phone and money, we'll get you to see a doctor and a dentist within 24 hours. No, this is really important. And the British people will look and go, however moralistic I am, for somebody to say that is an asset to this economy, an unvetted human being, to the detriment of the indigenous population, how is that a benefit? I don't get it. I genuinely don't.
As Matthew in the previous talk pointed out, people are coming, first of all, they're coming alone because they don't want to put their wives and kids...
So you leave your wife and kid to be bombed to death while you're trying to get a new life, yeah?
The journey is extremely dangerous. So you don't want to put your wife and a kid in a boat.
Well, come legally then, and then it won't be dangerous.
And the reason why they go to UK is not because of social security and hotels, I'm afraid to say that. And as Matthew said, France is actually doing a better job than you are. So the reason why people are coming to England, even from Denmark, some of them even have a permit in Denmark, but they choose to go to the UK. That is mainly because of the language and because of other family members that they have there already.
Why does everybody have family members in Great Britain? Why is that, by the way?
It's UK and London especially.
Oh, London.
Famous for some reason, like the USA. People think that it's an easy place to make a living, like you will have a chance there.
Oh, right, yeah, but hold on a second. You've just given it away, and let me jump in. You will have a chance there. My argument is this, which people like you will never answer. What about the people in this country paying their tax who are not doing very well because of the stretch that's happening to the things in this country?
As I said before, the poor English people should look at the British tax system and it's not the migrants who are stealing their cake, it's the rich population in UK.
Interesting. Thank you very much, though. We love it. We've gone very left-wing in the last 34 minutes. Michaela Clante-Bendix, I should have realised, leader of Refugees Welcome. It comes back to it, though. It comes back to it the whole time, right? I've always said, I don't know what you think. We've got half an hour. Let me know. I think that in the past, we've always tried to do what's right in this country. And we can sit here and we can say, oh, they're coming from war-torn countries. Or we can say, no, they're taking the mickey. We can hear her say they speak English, whatever. Fact of the matter is, wherever you are in the UK, whether you're at work, you've done a night shift, whatever, we all now know how hard it is to pay the food bill. We all know how hard it is to pay the electricity bill. We all know how hard it is to see a doctor or a dentist. These are not made-up facts. When you see people who ain't paying into a system come into your country and not get treated the same but get treated better, I will not be lectured by anybody telling me that that's, human rights and that's unfair. No, actually, start thinking, and maybe it sounds I'm talking only about the British people. I'm not. Come in the past, but right now we're too skint to deal with our own, and that's the fact, isn't it? Talk Breakfast is on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. Loads of you getting involved. I want to talk honestly, so many. Let's do a voice note. You might have heard Matthew Torbett and Trevor Kavanagh locking horns at 9 o'clock. My creative brain is working. Craig, good morning.
Jezza, unbelievable morning show and great discussion, as usual. The problem is there is no such thing as gangs. The gangs are the French government ferrying and supplying all these illegal people with boats and life jackets on the beaches of France. It's nothing to do with gangs. There is no gangs. They're not paying to come across. The French government, they're getting rid of their problem by getting them to the coast so they can come to Britain for a free ride. Get rid of the lot of them. Thanks, Jezza. Have a great day. This is Craig in West Yorkshire. Over and out.
What's this over and out, Lark? Brilliant. Thanks, Craigie. 22 minutes to 10. Jeff Brewer says, morning, Jez. Matthew is correct in one of his comments. That is, the system we have is no longer relevant. Scrap it and start again. Good morning to Sarah Goodyear. Wow, I normally really like Corbyn, although I digress with his politics. What happened today? Did he get out of bed the wrong side? He was very rude to Trevor. I certainly saw the other side of him. The other story that's dominated today is there's a piece in the Telegraph, page 4. Richard Tice is holding a press conference at 11 o'clock, came on the show and was talking about how many people, it's a really interesting article, how many kids are being overdiagnosed with special needs. It's all part of this debate about how do we deal with our welfare budget. It's a very contentious issue. I've said it before. People will go, I'm genuinely disabled, I'm genuinely mentally ill, and that's what the system is for. And we make that point again and again, but there's people gaming the system, and that is a point that Reform are making today with Richard Cheers. This is LW, I don't know what it stands for. I work with special needs adults in supporting the people I care for, all receive benefits and have never worked as issues from birth. No problem there. My issue is when and if they die. All the money that's been saved up over the years is passed on to their next of kin. This money should be reclaimed and put back in the pot. Sam is in Cheshire. I work in a special needs school and I can assure you each and every child needs this place. Yet we are under the threat of being closed due to funding issues. 182 kids moved across to mainstream will throw away any future they may be able to achieve. It is a horrible prospect. And Sam in Cheshire, that is the very reason I personally, this is me personally, believe that Richard Tice is right to have this discussion, because what happens whenever you talk about long-term unemployed, people with disabilities or benefits, people panic when you have this debate and go, oh my God, oh my God. The whole reason this debate needs to be had is because of stories like that lady in Cheshire, that schools are closing through lack of funding because the money is being swallowed up, in my humble, by people who don't deserve to get it. And that is the point. 20 minutes to 10, he's added to a list, a gargantuan list of jobs. I mean, where do you start with Matt Vickers? Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Shadow Minister of State for illegal migration, crime, policing, fire, gambling, trying to find a new girlfriend. Matt Vickers, good morning. Oh, look.
Good morning, Jezza. There's a distinct lack of warmth and coffee out here. That last woman sounded like she got you fired up, didn't she?
Have the Tory party actually sent you out today as like The Voice? You are on the round.
Freezing. It's Baltic. Yeah, I'm an adult today. This is the other job.
The hair's swept forward. Can I just ask you something, though, very importantly? Are you doing the BBC on your round today?
We've been on them. We've done the BBC three times this morning.
Love to see.
We did our bit.
Love to see the edit, Matt. Matty, listen, great to have you on. Shabana Mahmood, holding and waxing lyrical about, in her words, I want to restore order. It's a broken system. Call me cynical. 16 months ago, when they came to power, there was not a mention of the severity of the illegal immigration problem. In fact, anybody from Reform or even your party that dared, like Robert Jenrick, to say we need to control our borders was called nothing short of a far-right, bigoted fascist. Is this gaslighting, or have they finally woken up?
Well, I mean, Keir Starmer said that all immigration law is an undercurrent of racism about it. These are people who voted against every single measure brought forward to toughen up our immigration system. Shabana Mahmood and Keir Starmer campaigned against the deportation of foreign criminals. You know, if we put them at the helm of the country, what do we expect? The reality is they've brought some things forward this morning, some small steps that we might welcome, nowhere near what we need, but this government's approach to immigration is characterised by gimmicks. They were going to smash the gangs. there's a distinct lack of gang smashing going on. The one in, one out scheme, since they put that in place, 16,500 people have arrived in the country and 99.5% of them have got to stay. Since the election, do you know what, however bad and however many mistakes the last government made on this, and there was mistakes made, and the levels were way too high. The reality is, since these guys came to office, the numbers are up 55%. It's ridiculous. It's completely unsustainable. It's not fair on the taxpayer. It's not fair on public services. It is a disaster. And what they're announcing today goes nowhere near far enough to solve the problem.
Very interesting. They say that even she expects her plans to be torpedoed by left-wing human rights lawyers and indeed her own backbenchers, which has led us to question this morning whether it's gaslighting or it's about the leadership. It's a story doing the rounds that our Ange is reportedly running around Westminster like the school, up and down the corridors, already offering MPs cabinet jobs to back her after the budget when she makes a challenge to Keir Starmer. But we had a bit of an exclusive from Poppy Coburn this morning from The Telegraph. She said she can't pay back the 40 grand stamp duty because she ain't got it.
Well, she's too busy running around with this leadership campaign to get around to paying down the tax. But I think that's the problem. The government actually, when you see what they were doing on welfare, this country needs to solve its welfare bill. They couldn't get that through. No. When you look at what they did with winter fuel, they came up with this ridiculous, awful, nasty approach to tackle our pensioners. All fell apart, and now this immigration material coming forward, these measures that they're bringing forward, 9 MPs already come out and spoke against them. They've got ministers on resignation watch. They've got this civil war on at the top. Everybody running around left, right and centre launching their leadership campaigns. This country needs leadership. It needs to tackle the immigration crisis. It needs to fix its economy. 1,000 people a day being put out of work. 2 hospitality businesses a day going to the wall. It is a disaster. This government is a disaster for this country, and real people out there, taxpayers, are picking up the tab and paying the price for it.
There's a story I wanted to do before you face the quickfire round. Yesterday, thousands of local residents in a lovely place called Crowborough in East Sussex, I mean, it's leafy, it's posh, it's upmarket, sort of place you wouldn't live, protested against the thought that 600 male asylum seekers were going to be housed in an army camp in Crowborough, right? This is extraordinary. So the locals were going, this is unacceptable. Rachel Millward, who's the deputy leader of the Green Party, I'm taking aim at this morning. She's not the local MP, I got that wrong, but she lives in the constituency. The Green Party's leaflets on immigration go, all refugees welcome. All refugees welcome. She co-signed a letter with the head of the council saying, we don't want them in our constituency. And when questioned by the Telegraph, Matty, she went, they wouldn't be safe here. Safe in East Sussex? Do me a favour. The hypocrisy of the Greens, Mr Vickers.
They'll say whatever. They're like a weather vane. They just flap with the wind and go wherever it wants to be. I mean, the reality is that putting these people, we can't have them in town centres, in hotels, anywhere, but there just needs to be an element of common sense. The only way to solve this problem is to send these people back. That's what needs to be done now. The government needs to stop tinkering around the edges and get on with the mission of sending people home. I mean, you've seen that army base in Scotland. They're putting them there. It's virtually on the doorstep of the town centre. They're putting them in housing directly opposite the housing of families who are of servicemen. I mean, people who go out there and serve our country are now living opposite this problem. It is just a disaster. It's completely unfair. It's completely unsustainable. It can't go on. People need to start getting sent home.
A couple of young ladies have texted already saying you're looking prime ministerial this morning, Vickers. Doing well. Look at him, look, he's loving it. Thank you, my friend. The man with 87 shadow jobs, Matt Vickers, deputy chairman amongst everything else, live there from College Green. He too talking about Shabana Mahmood. I will restore order. Ray in Liverpool. Good morning, Jess. Your guest from Denmark was a typical naive socialist who thinks all migrants are from war-torn countries or fleeing persecution. I've got news for her and all the other softies. They're not. Most of them are economic migrants or bleeding criminals. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Jeremy. It's Sarah from Croydon. Just with regards to the illegal immigration situation and legal migration, I don't believe Labour will do anything about it at all. They don't have the will to do it, and I don't think they have the guts to do it either. But I'm fed up with being told by particularly people on the left that we should be kind and open our doors and we should offer people a better life. The trouble is the British people have been pushed so far that, and I speak for myself, I'm now at the point where I don't care. I don't care enough. I am fed up. I became self-employed 6-7 years ago. I got no help through COVID, nothing. My business was decimated at the time, nothing. Thankfully, I'm fighting back, but my standard of living is going down and down and down as the prices of everything go up and up and up. I am working harder than I've ever worked in my life, but my quality of life is going down. I've had enough. I am sick of paying for these people who are just sponging. We're done. And I think the politicians need to wake up. We are done. I've had enough. I don't care anymore. I am actually turning into somebody that just doesn't care. Until you start putting us first, I don't care about these people. Please, wise up, sort our problems out here, please. Thanks, Jeremy.
What did you think when you watched that video of Rachel Millward saying, you know, that the people entering the country illegally are doctors, engineers and barbers and surgeons and all the rest of it?
I think it's quite shocking, and it just shows a lack of understanding of the small boat crisis and who these people are that are coming. I also feel that it undermines and disrespects the doctors that we do have working here from overseas. These people don't come over on the dinghies from France. They don't throw their medical registrations overboard.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. If you did text and we haven't got to, I'll try and read them out very quickly. Jay, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Jay from Coventry. So, if they're coming here for the language, why is there so many people that can't speak English and can't understand English? What's with all them people then? What are they here for?
They're scrounging off us, that's how I'd say it. Cheers, morning. Re-narrowing the roads to stop vehicles passing cycles. This is the news this morning. In the latest war of words on motorists, Britain's roads are being set to be made narrower, so we can't bloody overtake them. Will they be narrowing the ambulances and fire engines as well, says Michelle in Worcestershire. Typical thicko laby think. They are incapable of solving anything. Have a great day. Also, loads of you responding about that river of rubbish in Oxfordshire. Thank you for your response. You know where that rubbish in the River Cher was from, Jess, don't you? 68 miles down the road is Birmingham. That council that hasn't removed the rubbish for ages. That's interesting. Do you know, by the way, also in Oxford, I didn't know this at all. Chris says, the river of waste in Oxfordshire. The council that run Oxford are a green council. You couldn't make it up. Here's a man who needs a gig. Now, this is really weird. I thought this man supported cars, the legend, the former Top Gear presenter Steve Berry. Why are you sat there in cycling shorts then, Bezza?
Do you not listen to your own traffic reports, Jez? Manchester's gridlock, mate. We've had gridlock since the middle of last week every day.
That's because we've got too many cars. We should get rid of all the cars and all go on bikes. No.
No, mate. It's because of the... If you look at Manchester, in fact, the BBC... Am I allowed to use the B word, mate?
Yes,
BBC,
the British company, yeah?
Well, they made a programme called the £1 billion Property Experiment about Manchester. Manchester's got more building than any major city in Europe right now. Both Manchester Council and Salford Council have allowed an enormous number of streets to be blocked off. We were already at capacity as it was. Where I live, there are two major routes north-south. Both are currently subject to traffic restrictions. It has caused the sort of problems, I'm not kidding, that end up with people fighting in the street, literally throwing hands.
We have it in London under the world. You have a terrible mayor. He's a nasty man. Sadiq Khan does it here. Taxi drivers, black cab drivers in London genuinely will tell you that sort of a third of their business has gone down the toilet because they can't get round. But the big debate today, Mr. Petrolhead, is Britain's roads need to be made narrower to stop drivers overtaking cyclists. Your take, please, Mr. Bezza.
My take is this, looking at the bigger picture, there's a massive disconnect between what governments would like to happen and what happens in the real world. What they'd like Britain to be is some wacky, granola-eating, cycling, recycling, Jeremy Vine cycle helmet, Jon Snow cycle clips type Guardian reading utopia. They'd like everybody to move about. What they'd like us to do is actually buy cars, but whatever you do, don't use them. Pay all of the taxes and duties, but please, please don't use them because they're not willing to invest in the infrastructure. The truth about cycling in Britain is there's an enormous amount of it in the southeast, but up here in Manchester, it's mainly me and a lot of former child soldiers who deliver Greggs to people who are so fat they can't get out of their accommodation to go and buy it themselves. They keep trying to get people onto bicycles up in this part of the world, and it doesn't work.
I said it at 6 o'clock. I make no apology for this. I can't be doing with the lycra or the fact they shave their legs. But on a serious note, what I hate more than anything is you sit at a traffic light in your car. They go in front of you. They go through red lights. They go on the pavement. They have no respect. They don't pay insurance. They don't pay road tax. They have all the benefits. And now we have cycle lanes and we're going to encroach further and further. And I'm going to get my bitch out. 4 of them across the road. You can't go past. Cars have to stay in single file. I hate them all. I hate bicycle clips. I think cycling is the devil's work. There, I've said it. I managed to contain myself till 5 to 10.
Well, obviously you would say that because that's your stick. I don't think you believe it, but never mind.
I do.
Look at you.
They annoy me.
Look at you like a racing snake. You're the sort of lad who should be on a bicycle.
Why?
But not for sport. That's the problem. Again, outside the southeast, people tend to look at cycling as a sport.
Yeah.
It's a transport. Jez, I live 3 miles from city centre Manchester. I would rather eat nails than try and drive into the city. So I cycle. I don't necessarily want to do it.
Do you shave your legs?
You've got to adapt your... Mate, it's a means of transport. It's a 3-speed Dutch town bike with a comfortable seat and pedal back brakes.
With a basket on, all right. Do you shave your legs?
I do shave my legs, but my hair habits are nothing to do with you or your viewers. And they're nothing to do with the transport. You adapt yourself to the situation. The more cars there are on the road, the harder it is to drive in city centres. If I'm going out away from the city, I use a motor vehicle. If I'm going towards the city, I either walk or I cycle because people say, oh, you use public transport. Well, public transport's getting to the point where in a city like Manchester, well, in most of our cities, it can barely move around. It takes forever to get from anywhere to anywhere. And the weirdest thing is, I live right near the university. And you think, don't you? You think, yeah, that'll be full of bicycles. It's not. And you think, oh, well, perhaps they walk. They stand at the bus stop. A 61-year-old man, I fly past them on my bike and I think, either walk, use your blinking legs, or get a bicycle. Why do people think it's somebody else's responsibility to move them around our towns and cities? It's often quicker to walk or cycle. And guess what? You're getting some exercise, which so few people get these days. I've had a look inside the NHS in the last few years from a friend of mine. And do you know what I've seen? A lot of fat people with a lot of health problems. Cut down on your pork life, as Blur said. Get some bloody exercise.
Thank you very much indeed. Good man. How long's that voice note, by the way? Right, that gives me 1 whole minute with the Queen of Westminster. Very good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. He was very angry.
There's been a lot of anger this morning.
There's been a lot of anger.
There's been a lot of anger this morning, mostly because they're narrowing the roads, and also a lot of us. This is what I want.
It's like it's not safe for cyclists, so it's narrow the road.
Can I just ask you, are you concerned about the climate?
I mean, it's my every waking hour.
So you're on crack cocaine.
Yes, exactly. The main thing about people being concerned about the climate is a lot of people are saying they're so worried about the climate and the world's going to die, and they're not going to have kids. And this is going to improve the human gene pool amazingly, because all the stupid people won't be having kids. I'm just saying there are swings and roundabouts.
Are you implying that people who have 6 kids are stupid?
No, I'm implying that people who think. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I do actually. I think you're absolutely mad as well. On that front. But there we are.
You've been completely right. Those times on Sunday when I'm thinking all I want to do is lie in front of the football. Dad. I don't think Julia's voice in my head.
Just saying.
6 was crazy.
I think I'll just pop and scuba dive somewhere without a kid.
Very quickly, I want to play this voice note from Sarah. This sums up the United Kingdom, in my opinion.
The trouble is the British people have been pushed so far